Hello, hello, hello. It is Hump Day Wednesday, and we have a special show today, and we have a couple that we're going to be on with. But first, I want to get this uh, in the way, okay? We want to say happy birthday to my firstborn, second born. Hey, Sean Anthony, you grown
Morning,
now?
everybody.
You grown now? How I feel? How I feel?
Doesn't feel any different because all that's really changed is a single digit in my age. So
Oh, well,
I'm
happy
feeling pretty good.
birthday. Now, when you were born, if you're out there and you were there when Sean Anthony was born, we were at the Learning Hospital. That was that kid that came out like this and looking around at everybody, straight out the room, straight pushed him out. And that's that guy. That's that guy. This is what he came out to be. Okay, he was big born. He big now, and he is like Paul Bunyan, and he loves to put that over me. Like he holds things over my head, so I can't reach it. He got jokes. He got jokes.
Well, I mean, I
So
learned it from somebody.
yeah, yeah, true, true. I ain't mad. It keeps me laughing, and I promise you, it's rarely a dull moment, especially a good thing when your dad is always active duty military and he has gone away. So we had a bunch of laughs, and I just wanted to say happy birthday to the coolest kid ever coming out the womb. Okay.
Thanks for the happy birthday.
We'll see what else we're gonna do. We'll see what else we're gonna do. All right, you go and enjoy your birthday, Sean Anthony.
All
Hi,
right,
Pastor
peace out, people.
Razor. Okay, now we're gonna get into the grit of what's going on here. So in this episode, we have um added Falonda. Falonda is back. Hey, Yilala, what's
Hi,
going on?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, all right. I'm ready for this. You ready for this?
I'm ready
Okay,
to the
so
best of
last
my
time
ability. Disclaimer: I am not responsible for anything that comes out of my husband's mouth. Okay.
Girl, trust. We already know what that's like, okay? And that's what I want to talk about here. Because last time it was just you and I, and we
Mhm.
kept bringing up their name, and I don't want to be talking about nobody behind their back. Sean Anthony, Pastor Razor said, "Happy birthday." Daddy Lee said, "Happy birthday." Jackie said, "Happy birthday." Thank you all for those shout outs. Shout outs. Okay, now we're gonna add a familiar face in here. That's Eddie. Eddie is gonna be on here.
Hello.
Wait, were you ready to come in, Eddie?
Actually, I wasn't. Y'all just clicked me, but um,
Okay, so that the Bible says, "Stay ready. Don't be getting ready. Stay ready." All right, and Jesse, we have Philanda's husband, Jesse. Hi, Jesse.
Greetings, greetings and salutations.
Okay, I just want to do a brief intro so we all know, everybody that's viewing knows who we are.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the Adroit Living a session of the Erudition Network, and we talk about clever living. And this episode is going to talk about couples being married in that's in the church. Okay, now
Ooh.
I can't speak for outside the church. We're going to talk about what it's like being in the church and being married because we don't learn, enough of that after five type of talk in the church. So, Jesse, let's start with who you are, and then we could go to your wife. We're going to start decently and in order.
Alrighty, alrighty. So I guess, baby, that means I have to do what I said I was gonna have you do since I get started off. I hate talking about myself. That's why I say that. But my name is I'm Jesse Jones. I'm the pastor of High Praise Ministries. It's a church that God had given me almost 9 years ago. Our anniversary will be June 26th. We'll be going 9 years strong.
Oh,
Both
happy
me.
anniversary.
Thank you very much. We call ourselves a Real Raw Church of Power. Excuse me, the Real Raw Church of Purpose, and we believe in teaching in power. Uh, we don't hold back. We don't pull punches. We are a classroom-like atmosphere. That's what God has called me to do. I've been doing ministry myself, in particular, coming up on 30 years. So yeah, I'm old young. I got a young age, but I got an old spirit. I've been doing it a long time. To the point I'm almost ready to retire. Lord have mercy. Um,
Okay, so it's fair to say that you grew up in the church, is it?
Oh yes, ma'am. I was basically almost born in church. Like I grew up Church of God in Christ. So we went. When I say we went to church all the time, we was in church all the time. Sunday morning was Sunday service started. No, Sunday school started at 9:30. Then Sunday service started at 11 o'clock. Then we had Sunday kind of a mid in betweener where we dealt with the kids and stuff like that.
So when
YPWW.
I say YPWW, you being
Yeah,
Eddie, we know what.
yeah.
Okay,
YPW.
okay.
Yeah.
I
That
know
was about
YPW.
7:30. Then Sunday
So
evening 7:30 until.
until to be announced. Okay,
Mhm.
Philanda, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Philanda Jones. I am an elder at High Praise Ministries. Longtime sister of Tina since, a long time now, since the 1990s. Wait, I have to think about it. I had a coworker today was like, yeah, me and my husband are celebrating our wedding anniversary, and we got married in 1994. I was like, oh, when I graduated high school, 28 years ago.
Oh wow. I was right behind you. I was right behind you.
Right.
And Eddie, you want to give a brief intro?
Hi.
Take it out the
No,
top of my guard.
no, hi, my name is Eddie Phillips. Everybody knows me, Tina. This is from the Erudition Network. I'm the founder of Erudition Network. Erudition Network is dedicated to providing instruction, knowledge, power, and Black history. But we also are venturing to do our biggest thing is to teach and provide knowledge to the people out here. So that's who I am. In short, Tony said, "Pay attention, man."
Exactly, Tony. Can we get some help? So you good that you introduced yourself because last time I talked about you, I said, well, he was in the street and I was in the church, and he said on the comment, he was like, I wasn't on the street, I was in the neighborhood. So I didn't want to get it wrong again. I'm trying to have a happy home, okay? How many times you done got it wrong in public? You got home, Philanda, and it was, oh my God, please. I'm so sorry. Let's rewind. If I could
Right.
do it over.
Right.
Now, I want to talk about what it's like to be married in the church because a lot of people, they are under the misconception that you have to change you in order for people to either stay married or to be viewed as marriage material.
Mm.
Okay. And then I also want to talk about that. It's going to get juicy, y'all. Can an alpha female be successfully married to a beta male? Hey, Bobby. It's gonna get juicy now.
All right,
But
let's
first
go.
question first. Go ahead, Philanda.
Oh, right on the hot spot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
yeah,
know, right?
yeah, I like that.
um. Okay. So wait, what's the first question?
Ooh, you're supposed to be
Jesse?
paying attention. The first question,
Jesse?
Y'all making
the
fun of me.
first question is, can you be married in the church and not have to change who you are?
Okay. So
No, see, I was paying attention. I got you. I'm with you.
wow.
You want to go first, Jesse?
Right. Sound like you want to take this over. But I believe
So he said,
absolutely.
"All gonna be good. Please define alpha beta for me." Okay, alpha and beta, we gonna get it. But first, we're gonna do this one here.
I believe that you can. I believe that you can be married and be successfully be married without altering the person that you get, the person who piques your interest before the marriage, before there's the engagement, is the person you should be. Like there have been actual like criminal federal fraud lawsuits for people not being themselves going into the marriage. I believe if a person doesn't know exactly who you are going into the marriage, then what are we doing? You shouldn't just meet somebody's PR representative. Me and Jesse have this thing that when you start dating, your PR representative goes first. So
For how long? For how long?
for how long before the real you starts to come out? We've seen cases where people have been, they start dating and they start talking about marriage and then come to find out that that's not really them.
Mm-hmm.
They say they were Christians, but that was meant that they went to church with grandma way back when, but they don't have a relationship.
Jesse. Uh-oh.
Okay, so I'm a fair warning. I'm that type you may have to cut off because I can go. So just let me know. Um, so no, you don't have to change, but you should evolve, and there is a difference.
It's a
But before
difference. There's a difference. Mr. James Jefferson he said depends on what you mean by change, what you need to change. It's about evolving. That's a good
that's right.
word. And I know you're a stickler for using the right words.
I really am. Like words have power, and if we don't understand the definition and
Power.
meaning of words and how to use them, we'll never understand how to get the power out of them. This is why we get into a whole lot of situations we get into because we wind up using words incorrectly. But that's a conversation for another day. So, it's not about changing; it's about evolving. I think a lot of the problem that happens, especially in the church, is we believe that we have to change. The problem is that what we don't recognize is that God's not even looking to change us; He's looking to bring out the real us. So how dare I, who has been made by Him, look to change something He already said was good when He made it? My job isn't to change you. My job is to see how you fit into my life and how I fit into yours. Beyond
Right.
how you look and beyond how you sound, can you fit into my life and I into yours? And once you do that, it no longer becomes about changing. It becomes about evolution. I can see you for who you are, and I love you for who you are, but I also love you for where you're going.
Exactly. Otherwise you'd be married and you'd be like, why did God say this the one for me? I
Right.
Mhm.
can't see it. I can't see it. Okay, Eddie, what's your prolific self? You wanna
I, d- I,
I
I,
love
I
that.
I believe that first off, let me specify because I heard somebody out here say, "What's the difference?" I'm gonna answer your question, but I'm also gonna give a definition there because we you kill our time. Um, I believe that yeah, people need to evolve. You need to. What I mean by evolve, like I think just you hit it right there. The evolution though is always going to be centered on the fact of who you're with, right? You're evolving. Both of you are evolving so that you can have a better, here's the word, synergy with each other, so that
Mhm.
you can be able to raise more human beings, which is what God wanted you to do, who understand, how to further that. That's where your grandkids, great grandkids, and things come from. But to ask, so I think that question was answered by everybody by saying with the evolving, right,
I
and
think
changing.
synergy really summed it up.
But
That
at the
give that
same
that's
time,
that reciprocity, submission, and give and take. I think that was a good
but
word.
you also flipped in there and put the alpha thing, right? Well, if alpha
No,
is
no, that was the second question.
okay, okay,
Can an alpha female be successfully married to a beta male? I saw that in social media. It was a question, especially in the gays park community. You know, I gotta rep my gays park. Gays park, how will vote.
so I'm gonna so we can keep it moving. But I will tell you. So if you take the idea of what we are told, that alphas are leaders, right? They're confident, they're self-assured, they're powerful. They feel like they can conquer the world all the time. They're the first one to speak, the last one that wants to speak. They just want to control the room. Well, that's great and that's fine, but you also have to understand the power of the beta, right? Because the beta, even though they're friendly, they're likable, and they want to try to make everybody get along, they are also there to be able to soften the approach of the alpha. If the alpha
Mhm.
is too strong and gets on people's nerves, and everybody like, man, we will never invite these folks over here ever again, right?
Tony said, "Yep, as long as she do what I say."
It's the beta, right? Because I think we often act as if the beta is something weak. No, they're not weak. They just understand, hey, look, people got to be able to get along here, and you can't just be telling people. Some people get too caught up in the thought of the alpha. I'm just gonna dominate,
And
and a
it's
lot,
about
and that shouldn't be
complimenting.
that way.
If you're
There you go.
complimenting one another, then yes, it does work. But if alpha female and a beta male are not complimenting each other, a lot of times odds attract, opposites attract. And you have to compliment one another in order for it to be successful. I don't care what your female status as alpha, beta, or your male status as beta, alpha is, you have to complement one another. Jesse, what do you think?
I think people get too hung up on what they think alpha and beta means as opposed to what it
Exactly.
is.
Mhm.
Normally, when people say alpha and beta, we start talking into gender roles and what the man is supposed to do versus what the woman is supposed to do.
Mhm.
So if you have what we consider to be an alpha female, that is someone who is a leader, that she's assertive, she's telling everybody what to do, and da 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 da. But that's not really what alpha is about. I think Eddie hit it right on the head. Alphas are just simply leaders. And some of the best, most powerful leaders are those who know how to let you lead while they're behind the scenes helping call the shots. Like if
Mhm.
you're a huge political head, you know that the president of the United States is not really the leader. He's a face. That's the person who's in front that we look at. But there are
Mhm.
people behind the scenes pulling the strings. Say you need
That's
to say
right.
this, you need to do this, you need to do that. That you'll never see. They're the true alpha. So when you understand the actual role of an alpha versus a beta, you can always have an alpha and a beta. It's actually better to have that, as you said, one who complements the other, one who knows how to soften the blow, one who knows, okay, I need you to take this approach with what you say. We
Now,
get
Tony
way too
Briscoe
hung up.
said he wants us to define what we mean by these definitions. Can you help with that, Philanda?
Of the alpha and the beta, for me, just like my husband said, the alpha is a leader. It's a
Mm-hmm.
leadership role, one who is fearless, can take control, and just take the lead in situations. And the beta is the complement to that. Not that the beta doesn't have power. I think when we talk about submission, people always think that that's a dirty word,
Mhm.
like that you have to belittle yourself or be less than. It is just understanding that the authority is in someone else and complimenting that.
Yeah.
Now, Pastor Razor on here, he says, but wouldn't alpha also translate as dominant in functional usage? Okay, so I
Yeah.
believe what a lot of the things that I've been doing with my show is trying to recondition traditional conditional thinking and
Mhm.
mindset. And I think what's being conveyed here is what we're trying to say is you can't put it in a box.
Yeah.
It's different when you try to put things in a box and categorize it and put it here, and that's where people get the whole stay in your lane and all of that stuff. And people trying to tell you it's not about a lane, it's about going with what God has called for you to do. And if you are beta, you are beta. If you are alpha, you are alpha. And you find God will tell you who gonna compliment you. Sometime an alpha and an alpha, sometime a beta and a beta, sometime an alpha and a beta are
Well,
complimenting one another.
let's understand. Not to cut you off, but let's understand too that every alpha is not a good communicator. Okay,
That's right.
Yes.
so every alpha, though they may be good at leading, they may not be good at communicating the
Mhm.
vision of what needs to be done. So that beta may be better at supporting and saying, "Hey, listen, this is where we need to be going." And I will also go to tell you because, as you said, we don't need to be traditional. Sometimes those roles may flip depending on what the situation is.
Took the words
Hmm.
right
There
out
are
of my mouth.
things that the wife or the husband may be good at, right? If my wife, I'll give a quick example. If we go to a car dealership and my wife is better at bartering to say, hey, look, we ain't gonna do this, right? And I'm more of a let's see what you got. Well, the salesman is going to look at the wife going because that's the one that's pushing the decision right here, right? And it goes the same way if we go into a situation where say my wife, we're in a room full of men, right? And my wife doesn't feel comfortable. Then me as a male, right? I need to understand that when somebody says something inappropriate, I might pull a brother off to the side. Hey, bro, my wife is up in here. See, it all depends on what situation that you're in, where you are, and how you work in that synergy. I'm gonna throw that out there again of your relationship.
I think it's also like kind of piggybacking off because I was going to say essentially the same thing. I was going to take the approach of we're talking about, especially when we talk about a marriage or relationship, we're talking about the fact that the Bible talks about two have become one flesh, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So if we are one, that means technically neither one of us is solely alpha nor solely beta.
There you go.
Mhm. Mhm.
Her job as my helpmeet is to cover my weakness, which means in the areas of my weakness, she's the alpha. And in the areas of her weakness, I'm supposed to cover that. I'm the alpha. So that's why I really get disgusted when I hear certain people talk about those type of terms because we try to box them into only one thing. But as you understand relationships, you understand they evolve, they move, they're fluid, and
Mhm.
it's situational, it's personality driven. There are things that both my wife and I do equally well. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes she takes it, and sometimes I take it. It just depends on the situation. And it
Mhm.
doesn't make me less of a man to let her take it. It doesn't make her less of a woman and subservient to me and all that just because she lets me take it. It matters what the situation is and what works for the two of you.
So what I'm hearing you guys say is it's not about putting a category on a title on it. It's about complimenting one another, and it's about, hey, sometimes I might be the alpha, I might look like the alpha, I might look like the beta, but it's all right because it's a reciprocity. There's a submission,
Mhm.
there's a give and take, there's
Mhm.
a communication where we're saying I'm gonna fill the gap. And see, that's what the Bible said about a help meet. We can do all things through Christ, being a woman, being a man. We got to be who we are. And it's not about, oh, well, he looking like a man. He look the man looking like a girl, the woman of the relationship. He not wearing the pants in his house. She wearing the pants in the house. It's not about that. And what it's causing is a lot of dissension. It's
Mhm.
causing a lot of marriages to fail where otherwise they succeed if they didn't have those people speaking such negativity in their relationship. It's not about you, oh, she look like she ain't in the church, but he look like he too much in the church. It's not about putting category on everything. And then you find yourself outside of the box wondering, how'd you get divorced, Jesse?
May I also put this in here? I think if we understand certain things, well, this is one of my favorite type of topics to deal with. When we really look at the virtuous woman scripture, like for real,
Hmm.
look at it. She was an alpha. She led her household. She did everything for her household and did it and made sure her husband always looked good in the process.
Mhm.
She sent him into those rooms where he was among all the pillars and kept his name up. But she was out there hustling, making the money. She was out there making sure that that everything was good. So I think we have again the skewed understanding of
But you
what it
see, they're
means
not
to be
talking about that in the church, Jesse. You've been there for a long time. I
a
have seen that lately. That there has been some people, especially in the psychology field, that they've been in the church and they've been in the pulpit, and they grew up in the church. I'm not gonna drop no names, but I've seen it. It's just slow to come, but I have seen it, and it's like there. It's like one of my peers in the field, a doctor. He was an elder, and he said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm playing the background right now. I'm good. It's all right. I'm playing the background." He said, "Well, what's gonna happen when God called you to get out the background and move to the front?" And I was just praying. And before I can answer, somebody called him away. I didn't have to answer that. But I have seen the community, especially in social media. All these young people are like, people are always asking me, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with yourself? How are you going to do this? And they expect these young women to get
Mhm.
married and have babies. They expect these young men to go out here and pick a career already. And it's like you don't have an immediate answer because God, He laughed at your plans anyway. So
I know
just
that's true.
continue to
Yeah.
do what you're doing and understand that, yes, you can find who you're looking for because if God puts you together, He gonna get you through it together.
But I
Now,
will, Tina. Let me ask something in here though, because I'm purely gonna take this from a historical point, right? We could say all of that,
Mhm.
but we are the progeny of generations of people, right? And unfortunately, the reason why we have these conditional thoughts, the reason why the church didn't teach us this is because when you go back and you look, right, and you understand that you had women who had 18, 19, 16, 17, 25 children, right,
all by
by,
herself.
by several
Mhm.
different men, right, because of the nature of the African American experience in this country, right? So it's very hard for us to understand and men having to know I don't have no claim to this woman that I've had 3 or 4 kids with because she's been with 3 or 4 other different men, not even by her choice. And the woman understanding that I don't have no man to really depend on because they constantly threw men at me. And even at the end of slavery, right? And coming out into freedom, which is only 3 or 4 generations from where we are. We have our we had this discussion the other night. We've had our great grandparents, our grandparents, who are the children of those mindsets. Those mindsets are taught to you from the time of a baby, right? Well, my daddy wasn't never around. My mama was this and that. So the idea of understanding how relationships in the church, out of the church, how they work in the African American experience, we have to put that into the equation.
I
Because
agree.
if we don't, then we're lying to ourselves. Now, the church has not done a good job of putting that into the equation, but we need to understand that that is a huge part of it, and we still see the things that are happening in society as a result of that.
Because it is a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain, and that's what we seeing in the church. And a lot of times the preacher don't understand why you don't feel like you could be married in the church, because it's a lot of pain, unspoken pain. Jesse.
Whereas I agree with that, my only instinctual pushback is this, um, and this is solely for those in the church. I can't deal with those out of the church because they don't have this type of understanding, or won't get this type of understanding until they get an understanding of who Christ is. Right? The Bible tells us and lets us know we are to study to show ourselves approved, a workman be not shamed by the divine word of truth. Right? So, if in my study of the Word of God and God's intention in God's heart, if I study it right, I begin to see His heart for how relationships are supposed to be. And that understanding should then begin to change my ideal so that I go into my relationship different. And once I go into my relationship different, I then begin to break the curse. I can literally use my wife and our daughter as the example. So before me and Falanda got together, our daughter Ashley was nowhere near ever even wanting to be married. She was
Yeah.
cool being a mom's
Unfortunately, she
girl.
got exposed to some things she shouldn't have. She knew a little bit too much, and the ideal of marriage just did not sit well with her.
And so then we get married. She sees marriage. Then she's like, oh, yay, I want to get married. Then she starts to see the work of marriage and how hard marriage is, and then changes and says, oh, no, I don't want to get married. Then comes back around after seeing we're still going strong. Problems, work, everything. We're still going strong. I want to do this. And now she's with a young man. Lord help us. But she's with this young man. And she is legitimately talking about marriage to the point where she had brought it to me. And for her to bring it to me is a huge step because she know I don't play. So it takes once you get an understanding of it, you begin to break the cycle in your own generation. And then after you break the cycle in your generation, you're going to get with somebody, and the two of you then break the cycle. Now we have two generations where the cycle's broken, and you're going to raise up a new generation. I think the issue has become in terms of this stuff is that we have gotten away from, literally the church anyway has literally gotten away from teaching and studying the word of God and understanding the heart of God. We want God's heart to be our heart instead of the other way around.
And that's why, in my opinion, the marriage rate is low, in church, out church, all the faiths, period. And it's in a higher increase of children that don't know what it really means to be married, and they hit an obstacle, and suddenly they gone. So that segues right into the next point. Should men and women be made aware the potential consequences of leaving their good thing? I mean, Sinbad, I'm happy he put himself out there. He's a great comedian, and he did so, in my opinion, very respectfully. I love to laugh, so I like the way he did it. He said he left his wife, and he thought that he didn't want to be with her anymore. They grew apart or whatever. He went out there and he discovered, oh, he gonna die without her. So he went back to his good thing. So, Philando, what do you think?
I absolutely agree with that. That look, a lot of times that's why you have a astronomical amount of first marriages or practice marriages amongst people like our generation and down, because what they thought marriage was, if they did come from a two-parent household, and the actual workings of it and how that works for them, they don't match up.
Tony
So
Briscoe says we want God to conform to us instead of being transformed by Him. Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
But for the rest of us out here who understand that marriage, first of all, is an individual thing,
Hmm.
because there's what God called you and Eddie's marriage to be, and there's what He called me and Jesse's marriage to be. And
Mm-hmm.
that you have to work this out for yourself. And if you don't, we consider, like we said, we have a three-way relationship. Our relationship is the two of us and God. We go to God
Mm-hmm.
with our concerns. We go to God for one another. We go to God with our fights. We literally go to God with our fights. And because we're two typical, what people would call alpha people who got married, it was a little different for us in our how we deal with issues in our marriage. But it because we don't really talk about it and really be transparent about doing the work, that it's not just the wedding, that it goes beyond that and what it takes to get 10, 20, 30 years down the way into the marriage, because we don't have these realistic conversations. I,
So by alpha, you mean both of you are really strong-willed.
oh, we are.
Okay.
Most definitely.
I just wanted to drop that definition so we understand what's going on.
Yeah. Like I had to be mother, father, provider, the whole 9 yards long before I got with him.
So Eddie, what do you think? Do you think that we should make people aware of what it means when you're what's going to happen? What's the recourse of you leaving your good thing?
I think we should. I think that should be done early. I think that's we were talking about YPWW, right? We're talking about training in the churches. We were talking about how things go. I think that it does start early. If I remember right, um, Sinbad's father was a preacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you are taught right, when you raise that child up in the way that they should go, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they it didn't say that they wouldn't be pulled,
Right.
right? But they won't depart from it. They'll understand. They have resolution. If you look at the Project House, son, as I teach my sons, right? People will go astray. The thing we never talk about in that Project House son is that there was a son that stayed.
Mm-hmm.
He was faithful, and he stayed there with his father. And even though his brother went off and did whatever, so you're gonna have those who are going astray, right? And so we got to understand that if they're going astray, we give them everything that we can. That means telling them, and I talk to my kids about this all the time, talking to your kids at the level of their understanding,
Mm-hmm.
not yours, because their understanding is what is key there. Their comprehension, I saw you post earlier, is key there, because once they understand it, then it's up to them to make those decisions that they're going to make. But you hope that when they get out there, if they get into a marriage, they say, I don't want to be, or they make bad decisions, right? That they have a way to know there's God. There's hope here. I'm not out here by myself. They can come back to themselves and realize I can return to what I noticed to be right, right?
So
So
what you're saying is we should definitely make them aware of the consequences that they'll reap should they step outside of that.
yes,
Jesse, do you have a biblical? Oh wait, let's see
Oh,
what Pastor Henry said. He said, I came up in the church, and he knew what it was like to not want to be married, but God. Okay, that's what's up. And he is a pastor, so he does teach in this, and he lives it. And his beautiful wife, they both live it. And then Eddie the second says children are very observant. Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to be an alpha because that is a popular term. That is a popular term. A lot of people want to be that and embody that, but not everybody can do that.
what
And
they want to be what?
not everybody got alpha,
Alpha.
and not everybody's going to always appear to be an alpha.
Everybody shouldn't be.
Okay, Jesse.
everybody can't handle the weight of being
There you
alpha.
go. Everybody can't
There's
be
no
an alpha all the time.
weightiness to it. But in terms of should we tell them and make them aware, absolutely. And to again piggybacking off of Eddie's point, because literally I taught that a few weeks ago concerning the prodigal son and the one who stayed. Um, and here the way that God had me to do it was He pointed something out to me in that passage. I can't speak for nobody else. I personally had never seen before He pointed it out to me.
Mm,
We talk about the fact that the prodigal son came home, and that daddy received him, and that was great and wonderful. But you realize he never got another inheritance.
Mm,
He was able to come back in. He got the authority back. He got the sonship back, but everything else went to the son that stayed. And so when we teach things like that, if we begin to teach, we have to first, I think what needs to happen is we have to teach people how to recognize the good thing. One of the things at the end of my first marriage, because yes, I've been married before, and my wife is my second wife, but she's my best one. Um, that God showed
yes,
me
she is. I don't
was
even know the other one, but yes, she is.
the Bible
So
talks
what
about
you're
how
saying is there is a repercussion for it. There's a consequence. He didn't
absolutely.
get everything he should have had, everything that was due him because he left. You relinquished your ability, your rights. You gave up your inheritance.
Hmm. The Bible talks about how the blessing of the Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow to it, right?
Mm, mm,
God
mm.
began to show me after my divorce. He said, so because I was complaining, I was upset before he showed me some of the stuff that I did, because there was a whole lot of stuff she did, but he started showing me what I did. He said, I was pointing that finger like crazy. Said, but wait, you didn't. But in my complaining to God, I was like, well, God, you said you honor marriage, you bless marriage, and why didn't this happen? Why did this happen? And God said, first of all, do you think that this marriage was a blessing since you say I honor and bless marriage? I said, well, that's what your word said. He said, my word tells you that my blessing makes rich and adds no sorrow to it. It doesn't mean there's no work, but adds no sorrow. The entire time you were married, you were in sorrow. How was
Mm,
that my blessing?
mm,
Because we don't know how to recognize
mm,
what our good thing is. We don't understand there's consequences to leaving it at all. So I think before we can even deal with understand the consequences of leaving it, we have to teach people how to recognize what it is. People have left diamonds and jewels and good jobs and good people or good whatever because they didn't recognize what it was until after they left. We have a cliche that goes on all that's been generations and generations. You don't know what's good until it's gone. Well, that's stupid. I should know what's good when I have it. Why do I have to wait till it's gone for me to appreciate it? We see that in funerals all the time. People, oh my God, Pookie gone, and I'd have loved it. Well, if you cherished Pookie when they were there, it wouldn't be that much in it at the end. So if I recognize that she is my good thing, I'm gonna do whatever I can to hold on to her so that she never leaves. So I don't have to worry about the consequence. Because then I recognize immediately the absence of what's going to be there without her,
Mm-hmm.
because I recognize what she brings to my life.
And some people they think that they can control things. Just because you have a good thing don't mean it's for you. Even if you marry it, it's not for you, so you can't keep it. You can't hold on to it. It's not for you. It's somebody else's blessing. And when that person gets ready, and God sees they ready, it's time for you to go.
So
You got to go.
let me add something else up in here too. All right, let me add something else up in here. I'm gonna go again, right? I'm gonna let y'all handle the heft of the biblical side. But let's add something else up in here. So your question is, if you let something go, right? If you let something go nowadays, you as a black male, right, you might be a little foolish because you start off. And I'm gonna go right back to the history of the science, right? You start off already behind. The black male mortality rate at birth in this country is always high, right? Which means that we are already starting off that there are more black females, white, black, whatever, than there are black males. Do you add into the equation the idea of the 50% nationwide, right, that may get involved in some kind of criminality, the 25% that might be lost in the military, and on these different percentages. So you're already starting off with the possibility that there are a lot of women out here, right? And then if you add in your lack of, because I say this all the time, and Tina knows this, the black female is the most educated female in this country, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
Person in this country, bar
By
none.
far.
And they outrank everybody. So if we're not equating ourselves on the academic side, on the professional side, to be able to meet her. So when we get into these things of the alphas and the broad, it doesn't matter. If you're not meeting her And we don't teach our children to be equated enough to meet her at where she should be met. Right?
Now let me say, a lot of times I've seen a lot of people. It's a lot of my sisters out here. They have their PhD and they have they six figure, mid six figure jobs, and they're having difficulties finding a husband, and a man is having difficulties in seeing wife in her. Now, I want to say, when they say meet, you got to go back, rewind where we said compliment. You got to compliment, and as long as you compliment, you don't have to meet her salary. You don't have to meet her alpha with your alpha. You don't have to meet her beta with your beta. You have to compliment. It is fulfilling to have a rib that does what a rib is supposed to do. That's not there. For example, that's why God gave us that example. He wants us to understand, men, how many ribs does the human male body have? He have more ribs than women, doesn't it?
I'm gonna defer that to Eddie there.
Right.
That's true. He left the
But,
window.
no, I mean, I believe so, Tina. But this is the thing, though. I agree. Only pushback I'm gonna give you, baby, is this: is that we have to set a
Especially, but
standard.
you know what you might get on here. This we on
Well,
live.
we have to
We
set,
after five, we live. It's gonna
we
be
have to
driving.
set a standard as men in mentoring other men. We have to set a standard and let them understand what it means to be a functional man. I don't expect you to have a PhD in whatever, but I expect you to understand the value of that woman, right? She is so much more than breast, butt, and whatever you've been taught by society. We have to teach our young men to understand that even if she does have that, like you just said, what do I bring to the table?
Bring
Maybe
something.
I could be a truck driver. I could be a janitor. Dr. King once said, if you're gonna be a janitor, be the best janitor that there's possibly can be.
That's
Because then you can hold your head up high. You can come home to that woman. And if she's a boss of a corporate whatever, right? She gonna love you because that's my man and he meets my need, what I need. But that does not happen if men, and I speak specifically to men, and men I think can disagree, if we don't mentor and hold our brothers of all races accountable to be men as the Bible tells you to be. And that doesn't mean to detract from your woman. That doesn't mean to denigrate her. But what society is showing you, the denigration of women as it is all over. With music, film, radio, whatever, books, whatever you want to look at, she's not being held to that esteem. And
Tony said he's not intimidated, but some people are. He was like, the more money she make, the merrier. Hashtag theme.
There you go, bro. What I'm
I
gonna
know it's
complain
right. Here's the only slight pushback I would have. I do believe that men need to mentor men and understand what manhood is. Same time, and this part probably don't get me in a little bit of trouble. Thank God my wife has already heard me say it 1,000 times before. I also put a little bit of onus on the women, and here's why. Men typically will do whatever they need to do to try to attract and get a woman.
It's true.
Most men have jobs because they know a woman wants some money. They try to get their houses nice because they know that a woman likes a comfortable home, right? A lot of women have become so discouraged in their pursuit or in their trying to be pursued that they have started settling. Meanwhile, we have this conversation all the time about these young dudes out here sagging their pants with these super tight yeast infection jeans on, which is crazy, doesn't make any sense. And I always say, well, here's the problem: some woman will sleep with him.
There you go.
If some woman is willing to say, "I'll take him," and so it's a double-sidedness of it. So yes, we absolutely need to mentor men, but at the same time, I also believe men need to mentor some women, real men. So
that would be nice. But a lot of times you see these men mentoring these women and they taking them from the people they should be with.
Yeah, and that's
Yolanda, I know you
not a real man
on that.
That's true. It's not a real man.
Yeah, exactly. And you get people who just want the possession. They want the trophy wife. I like the ideal of, I see that she has all of these good things in her. So before somebody else can get the mine her for all of her abilities and all of her assets, I'm going to do it first. And that's completely different. It's
Scorched
completely
earth.
different.
Scorch the earth, because
Right.
you don't want nobody to have it. So let me destroy it before anybody else could get to it. But see, I heard y'all say something. But let's understand something here. 95% of the churches in this country are held the leader is a male.
Yeah.
Right. So if that means that there are men who are mentoring, leading, pastoring men and women, but that don't you right there, Jesse. That
But
don't mean they doing it
like
right.
more than 75% of the congregation are women.
Yeah, there's men up there teaching them. This is why I push back, and I'm gonna say his name. I don't care. When Steve Harvey said think like a man, I was like, hold on, man, hold on. Now, I kind of understood what he was saying, and y'all might disagree, but this is the thing. I don't need my woman to think like a man. I need her to understand the man that she's with, but I don't need her to think like me. Because if that was the case, I would have been with a dude, right? I don't want no dude. I want femininity is supposed to complement masculinity and vice versa, right? That's the way it's supposed to work. And so when you tell me that her femininity is not good enough, she got to think like me, right? So that we can be able to be copacetic and together. Well, there's something wrong with that. Something twisted with that, right? We need to be able to, like you said, I want to be able to go to my wife when things is bad, right? When things is rough, when things has really got me down, and say, I'm just want to go crazy. And I think I told y'all this other night, even if she walks up and just gives me a hug, right?
Oh,
and
Lord.
tells me, baby, it's going to be okay. I'm here with you, right? You're not by yourself. And sometimes Tina will do that. She will tell me, I'm not going to let you go. I'm not going to let you go, right?
I got to get past this, though, first.
Right.
Like,
but that's a part of it, right? But her femininity welcomes my masculinity, right? My confusion, and it lets me feel comfortable to know, okay, this is the one for me, and vice versa, right? If she got tears, I should be able to hold her. And see, this is the problem right now. We are in a society where people tell us that femininity and masculinity got to compete with each other and fight with each other. That is not the reality of life.
And the reason why I said that about the church, Jesse, when you said that, because we have noticed, and I know we're saying it out there in social media, we have noticed that a lot of these pastors upgrading a good thing to a younger version, and it's like, was it because time and opportunity presented itself? Because it is overwhelmingly populated with women in the congregation, like Philanda said.
It's because the anointing and leadership is sexy. Let's not mince words. Let's not play around with it. The anointing
Is
and
it?
leadership is sexy.
Is it sexy?
It absolutely
It
is. And
actually is.
the
Time
whole
that
I
I've ever heard that being said, because sexuality and the church, that don't mix. They don't say that.
I told you we the real raw church of
We
purpose. I
different.
don't play my word. I told my wife the part of the entirety of the reason that she's with me before God ever said to her, "Yes, this is your man," is because the anointing on my life is sexy.
Uh,
I am not a good looking dude. I'm average. I'm like okay. My body even then wasn't all that great. But the anointing somehow clouded her eyes. It was like, oh, she saw a
is that
physicality
what
in
happened,
me.
Philanda? He was blinded by Christ.
Because because look, so check it out. When we got together, even before we got together, we met through online. We met through Black Planet way back in the day. That's how old. That's how long ago our stuff was. I was attracted to the words on her page after she emailed me, but that's a whole nother thing because she gonna say she didn't email me. But
I
I
already
got
told the story. See, I told
Already
okay.
you
So
to
told
do
you.
yeah.
She beat you to the
Mhm.
punch.
And, but in my response to her, the wordings that I used and how I was pursuing after her, and when we met, there was something about the anointing on my life that kept her attracted that shouldn't, because the anointing and leadership is sexy. The problem is we have a whole lot of fake men or men who or boys who have not been taught to be men. So now they get to these leadership positions where they have now some options they would have never had before, and no one taught them how to deal with options. One of the things that is a grave mistake in terms of Black male church leadership is that we are so focused on them knowing and understanding in the word, or so we say, because I've heard some of these preachers, they couldn't preach their way of a paper bag. We are so focused on that aspect of it that we miss the total aspect of it. That while you were up before these people, some folk are going to misconstrue your Christ-like love
Hmm.
for attraction because they've never
Hmm.
received Christ-like love before.
You got it right there. And Tony is filling you with the attraction to the anointing. I've ran into that so many times that I cannot explain, and that's why so many people were always trying to boss me into trying to be in a relationship with them. I let them know because I can see it before they can. It's not me you want. It's not me you want. And what I have, you can get. All you got to do is go to God in prayer. It's out here for all of us. And we got Omar Phillips out here. He is definitely in these comments, okay? He is
Mhm.
saying,
That's
he
my
is
cousin.
bringing us the word as we are speaking. He's bringing a biblical aspect to it. So I encourage y'all to keep reading those comments. He hitting that. He hitting it.
But you know, let me. The thing is too, right? You're absolutely right. Everything y'all just said is absolutely right. But were you raised in church? When you steeped in church, and you are taught and conditioned. Let's get back to that condition part, right? To trust in these people and these leaders. You are conditioned. Church folks, some of the most church hurt folks are
Mhm.
folks who grew up in church
That's a
Mm-hmm.
fact.
because they have been taught and conditioned to trust that pastor, preacher, prophet, whatever title you want to hold on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when pastor such and such comes in, or preacher such and such comes in and say, God claimed you to be my wife.
Mm,
And that woman go, I don't really know. No,
I
he
ain't
told me.
it.
He told me
Right.
yesterday in my room under my bed that you was my wife.
Mm,
And she goes, uh, okay. All right. And then he pursues that. Then next week he comes to visit again. He's in the church. He goes, I was wrong. I misheard it. The broadcast was wrong. God said she was my wife because the new thing just walked up in here.
Mhm.
Right. And so that trust and that condition is a part of this too. Right. So we have to also, this is the thing. We go to church, we love God, but your walk with God is daily and it is 24/7, 365. That means when you walk out of that church, you have the ability to go to God for yourself and
Yes.
say,
Supposed to.
God, right? Let me pray over me, over my house, over what's going on. When I hear brothers say, I lost my wife at the church to brother such and such, right? I lost my wife to preacher such and such,
that's one of
right?
the moments where you had to be there.
But that's the same brother. That's the same brother who, when she was going to church on Thursday night, right, for the prayer meeting, she was going on Sunday. She was going to go do these different things from the church. He never wanted to go to the church with her. He never wanted to be involved. And so he
Mm,
basically, that's in my mind, that's basically like you sending your wife to the nightclub, to the place, to the congregation, right? And then you wonder why she get caught up in everybody else because that man look good. He doing everything that he seems to be godly, right? And you not. So
now,
that trust problem is a big
Jesse,
part.
Jesse, who would you say in this instance that Eddie just gave? Who would you say is in the wrong? Is it the preacher for taking advantage of his authority, or is it the woman for being available?
I'm gonna be the controversial one. I'm gonna tell you it's the woman. I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with the preacher. Has everything to do with the fact that when she got with the guy that she got with, she never sought God about it. So you wound up getting involved with a man who wants nothing to do with the God that you serve, and you wonder why there's friction in your house. And now you get to a place where there's somebody who is not only interested in you as a body, as a person physically, they're also interested in your spiritual growth, or they say they are. There's an attraction to that. But even in that, you still should saw God even with the person who's now attracting you. As much as the preacher would be at fault, and it is because he's wrong because she with somebody, right? as much as the man sitting at home playing PlayStation is at fault, because why at some point have you
Why it's
not
gotta
taken
be
interest
PlayStation? It can't
in
be
what
Xbox.
because it's a PlayStation household. We don't do Xbox,
Oh, we
PlayStation.
do them all. We do them all. We don't discriminate over
I
here.
get you though. I get you though. No, you're right.
Why since he decided he wasn't going to get involved with and the things that interest his wife, at least on occasion. When me and my wife got together, I tell people all the time, I used to watch so much Say Yes to the Dress and Why Did I Get Married and House Flipping and all these other things that I had no interest in. She took an interest in wrestling because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and she has no interest in it, because at some point in time, the thing that interests the person you say you love, you should also take an interest in, because it's taking an interest in them. But beyond that, at what point are you saying, okay, wait a second, God, now I know I have an affection for this man. I know I like him. He's the apple of my eye. He look good, six pack and all. Is this someone that is good for me now and in the future? We stop seeking God. So I put it on her, because at no point in the scenario was there an indication that she sought God about either man. She gonna run into the same problem with the preacher that she ran into with the worldly man, just
Yeah,
on
that's
a
true.
different scale.
Okay, Jesse, I want to direct your attention to the comments. Ty Strome
Mhm.
is asking you a question. Philanda, while he reads that, I want to see, what do you agree with your husband? If I could ask that question, do you think that it's the woman's fault that she available, or the preacher's fault that he took the opportunity and time?
So for me, the blame goes both ways. Like, as the woman, if you married a man and you know he wasn't going to church and this is a part of who you are, that's your fault. Not, I want to say like 75% of people who literally get married now, the problem is they don't see God for their spouse.
Mm,
They don't do, not only do they not see God, so let's take it out of the realm of the church. You don't take the time to get to know people. What do you like in your highs? What do you like in your lows? So now when it comes up that they don't meet your needs or there is a lack, now you got to go find it someplace else. That's
mm,
on you.
mm,
You should have got to know who you are in a relationship before you called it a relationship. I know it'll be like an uncomfortable truth for most people, but it worked for me. Look, there are temp people in your life, people who are interviewing for the long term job of being in a relationship with you, and there are people who are just toward the time being. I call that dating phase the temp phase.
mm,
You are interviewing for a position that you want to have long term. And if you're not really taking the time to get to know a person, that's on you. And if they're not meeting your needs, and you don't have the ability to even communicate that there is a need to them, and so now we're just going to switch to someone else, you have to be accountable for your own actions. If your needs aren't getting met and you don't have the ability to express that, that's on you. That's self accountability.
mm-hmm.
Now,
Self accountability.
if there are some people who are in it for the power,
Mm-hmm.
let's just be honest. All leaders out here are not, maybe they started with the heart of God and then somewhere down the way they got lost.
Mm-hmm.
God calls who he calls, and he does it unrepentant. Yeah, you'd have
Mm-hmm.
seen some pastors that fail. You absolutely have. All of them are not like that though. Some people, most of them
Not
who
to
have
cut you
seven,
off, but can you
okay.
define unrepentant?
Those are the people who they do it and they have no remorse for it.
No, you said God gives them the ability, the gift,
Oh, he don't take it
unrepentant.
back. He
Mm,
calls people, he don't take it back. He didn't make any mistakes. He did what he did and he meant to
mm-hmm.
do it.
Mhm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
what you do with it afterward is on you. That's where
Mm-hmm.
we have to be accountable as individuals.
And
So
you
he's
got
not gonna sit up there. He not gonna. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
to treat everybody rather. This is the way we was taught. Rather they called or not, right?
Yeah.
But
Rather they
Tony Bristow said, she's supposed to love her husband. It's gonna be some slow talk, so slow walking and some flower bringing.
I know that scripture that is used, and I'm gonna come to Brother Strong in just a second. I know that scripture that is used where people talk about that, where a saved woman can save her unsaved household and save her
Mm-hmm.
unsaved husband. We misapply that scripture. That woman was called to that man. Just
Mm-hmm.
because you like this dude who ain't saved, don't make him your husband.
Mhm.
When preachers marry a couple, they stand and they say, "What God has put together, let
They know.
no man put asunder." The problem is that we got people who stand before a preacher, a judge, or whomever, in a crowd of people put rings on their vows, and God put y'all together. So
Now,
He's
is
got
this the
obligated.
Tyson response? I want to give you time to get that. Is this the
I'm
Tyson
tired of
response?
project. So with Mr. Strong,
Okay.
he was asking, what do I say about those who use fake spirituality against those who pray, who they know are vulnerable and who pray at church? Well, here's the thing. So the reality is you were going to have that in a lot of churches, just like you have that in schools, you have that in businesses. You gonna have fake and false folk. It's gonna happen. But if we as the body of Christ, or if we as people, period, who are trying to learn how to have a relationship with Jesus Christ himself, don't just only take what the preacher says and take that, but we take and we learn how to read and study the word for ourselves. We get to weed out some of these fake and false prophets, some fake and false preachers before they fall, so that you're protected. A lot of the problem in the church, even with the world is concerned, is that we have a lot of these fake folk who get the front spotlight. And because they got the spotlight, we look at them and what they say, and no one does a study on their own. The church is the only place that we find that acceptable at. You go to a job, you have a boss. The boss tells you to do something, but they tell you to do something that's rooted in the training that they've already given you. And if they tell you to do something that's against the training, it's your job to question it. When you go to
Mm-hmm.
school, you got teachers who teach you stuff. If they teach something that's outside of the scope of what they're supposed to be teaching in, you're supposed to question it. Why is it that we feel like, oh, the preacher said, the pastor said, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take that at face value? That's not even what Jesus said. The word says, study to show yourself approved. You have to know the word. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get a relationship with God for yourself. So yes, you're going to have those people who prey on the vulnerable and the weak. And I apologize on behalf of all those ignorant preachers who have done that to folk and mess folk up. It's godly. I pray that God take His out upon them unless they get themselves together. However, at the same time, we have an obligation to study the word for ourselves and not only take what the preacher says. Our job as pastors is simply to help give you the information. You have to go home and study it
There
and
you go.
apply it
There
for
you
who
go.
you
That's
Mhm.
what
are.
I was saying earlier. We cannot look, God ain't, you ain't gonna get to heaven, right? You ain't gonna get there and say, well, I did everything because this guy taught me wrong, right? Or this girl taught me wrong. Because at the end of the day, and I say this all the time in any relation, right? Everybody got agency. God blessed you with agency. He blessed you. He blessed you with decision making. You could be a illiterate person. They never read a book, but God gave you agency. He gave you purpose. He gave you the ability to be able to decide on your own, right? Dick
Mhm.
Gregory once said that the most wise person in the world is an illiterate man. Why? Because he has to memorize everything. He
Mm,
doesn't have the option to not
mm,
memorize, because if he wants to work, live, and prosper, he has to memorize. So
mm,
even in all of that so-called failure, right, there is exceptions, right? There's exceptionalism to the rule. And so we really, I get it. Tyson in Clyde, Texas, a brother of mine, we were in the Navy together. And I understand, right, how you could feel that way, right? I understand how you could say, why could a person pray on somebody in church? And Jesse, I appreciate that you said that. It could be anywhere, right?
Mhm.
But your agency, your decision making,
mhm.
right, is still on you to go in there and say, wait a minute. The scenario I gave y'all earlier is not a scenario. That's actually happened. I know all of us could probably think back our time in church and see things like that have happened. But it
And
does
Teddy said,
come
yeah,
down to
no
that.
man will be held blameless.
Nobody is blameless.
Now, I
Mhm.
wanted to get into the meat of the marriage because the whole purpose of getting married is so that we can feed our flesh, baby. We got to feed this flesh. And in the church, feed feeding the flesh. We not outside of our flesh. Now we can go to church, we speak in tongue if that's what your thing is. You could dance in the spirit if that's what your thing is. You fall out in the spirit if that's what your thing is. But let's talk about the flesh because a lot of times these needs that we talking about that ain't being met, and this think like a man. for a woman to think like a man, what they really a lot of times referring to is sex.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's after five somewhere, so don't look at me crazy now. It's after
No,
five.
no, 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 no. It's a
No,
wonderful.
this is
Thank
real.
you, Jesus. Hallelujah. It's
Yes.
a wonderful thing.
Now, is there a time limit to this? I'm gonna say there's a time limit to this giving, so you better hurry up, get yourself together, so you can get this. Because you can't sit there and make me angry and be like, "Well, God said it's mine. You have to give it to me. We have to procreate." Mm-mm,
Well, what you
mm-mm.
talking about right there, Tina? So, see, I'm trying to be more. But I'm not going to be. I'm just going to be real. And I speak specifically of Black community, right? Because we got a problem in the Black community with this,
Lots of them. You're right.
right? You have this idea of the strong, what we used to call it back in the 90s, roughneck brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mhm.
wild brother, right? Oh, he gonna take it. He gonna dominate, right? The brute, really, that's what historically what we call it, right? Is ignorant. He ain't like Jesse said earlier, pants too tight, all this. He flexing all the time. He trying to show off to the woman,
I ain't mad. I
right?
was gonna say
But see, that's the programming. That's the program. No,
it's
stop. Hold
human
on.
nature
Let me
to like
finish.
what you saying, and I want to love what
But
I see.
that's the programming. I'm not saying that's bad. God created us to see each other and desire each other. I'm not going to say that that's wrong. What I'm going to say is how we use it, and
Mhm.
what we do with
Yeah,
it is wrong. That's not God of God. When
yeah.
we are
Because
out here trying,
Tony Briscoe said we get married. Some people get married for the wrong reasons.
we
Mhm.
luring them in, right, with the candy, right? That's what we doing. And on the other side,
Don't be
right,
showing people your sexy
we
dance. You
got the
keep that for
Jesse,
me.
we
For
got
me.
the what they call a Jezebel, a harlot woman, right? She's shaking too, right? And she's
You better
showing you
stop saying
everything,
we gonna kick
and
something
she
off
pulling
on
it
here.
real tight, and she letting you see everything that you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
She offering it to you. It got a price, right?
Mhm.
Both of them got a price, but we getting to a point where we want to go out there and get it. The problem is we use those things. You got men out here who want to hunt and women who want to hunt. And but you have people that are hunting each other, right? Why do you hunt? What are you trying to do? When you hunt,
Apparently, that's sexy. Jesse
when
say the
that
spirit's
term
sexy. The
we
hunt
said
is
we
sexy.
said earlier, words have meaning. When you're
Mm-hmm.
hunting something, what is the purpose? What do you do after that hunt? Right? You hunting to slay it, take it down, to dominate it,
Apparently, you send her back home to her
right?
husband because you
But
want to
they
get the
don't do
next.
that. I said this on your show the other day. Be careful, right, of that devil you lay down with, because he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. A lot of people have laid in the bed with these devils and they never got up
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
because the design was to take you out. In the 80s, they had AIDS. In the 90s, they got different things. But in the reality of it is, how many people have died as prey to the hunt, right?
So,
But
Philanda,
that's our fault though.
can you be sexy in the marriage? Can we say
Yes.
as a woman?
Yes.
Can we say,
Oh,
listen,
God,
Absolutely.
man,
she
In the
you better
marriage.
get
absolutely
up in
is.
that room? Can we do that?
In the ma- in
Absolutely.
the marriage, yes. In the relationship, yes.
Yes.
But
You need to do that.
would you want your woman or your man out here showing their goods to everybody? Because if
No,
they showing it to everybody, right?
no, here's the problem. See, to me, the problem isn't whether or not you showing you're sexy, because the truth of the matter is, let's be honest, most of us as men, a good woman can wear a burqa in our presence, and we still
True.
want to see what's up under that burqa. The problem, as it relates to the church, is we have somehow decided that sex is a taboo, non-talk about topic in
Mhm.
church. I don't remember if it was Sinbad, Steve Harvey, or Chris Rock. One of them three comedians said it. They said, Steve Harvey. He said, "Listen, we try to take sex out of church, but if sex ain't happening, where are all these little Christians coming from? Somebody is sleeping with somebody."
Somebody sleeping with somebody.
In most churches, the children's church is the most packed portion of church because somebody is getting some somewhere. And then we have all these teenage pregnancies in the church because somebody's getting some somewhere, because we're not talking about it. We've made sex so attractive unnecessarily by making it taboo. But if we destigmatize it and begin to talk about it, talk about how the marriage bedroom's undefiled before the Lord, teach young men Look, sex. Look, you gonna want sex is what you go. I told some of the young men that I used to teach at the church I was a youth pastor at. I said, listen, you have to understand something. I don't care what you do. You can't pray horny away. I don't
No,
care
you
how many
can't.
cold showers you take. I don't care how much tongues you speak, how many Bible verses you read. I, you cannot pray it away. You have to understand how to control it and or run from it. You control it by yourself and run from it when you're in the presence where something is going to cause you to fall. The Bible says, "Flee youthful lust." You have to run
Mhm.
from that bad
You
boy.
got to run from it.
Discipline to run from it. But we don't talk about those stuff. All we teach in the church now is abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. Sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad. When they get their first taste, they figure out, oh no, sex is good. Oh, taste and see. Ha.
Well, we teach abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. Don't do it up front. But in the background, when we come to your house, we got some saints that'll go up in there and say, "Well, there's nothing wrong with sex. God told us to be fruitful and multiply." And so
Right.
The preacher they
we
looking at,
whisper to
they
each
like,
other.
you can't tell me because you was just with your wife. Now you with somebody else's wife. So they ain't listening to them anyhow.
But that's
And
because
why? But why stay at that church? Right?
that,
And that
that's
comes down
exactly
to it too. Why you stayed at that church? Right? Some people stayed at that church because mama, daddy, grandma was at that church.
Right.
Right? But mama, daddy, grandmama, right? We don't that church has had a history through time, right, of this. So there's a lot that goes on with that. But I think what we're saying at the heart of this is honesty, truthfulness. Be truthful. Speak about things openly so that they don't, because look, psychologists will tell you, right, that you're going to learn from somewhere. If you
hmm
drop out of school and you go hang out with gang members, you're going to learn from the gang member, right? If you go hang out with people that hustle and steal cars, you're going to learn from them. You're going to learn from somewhere, right? So if you go to the school of thought of just, I learned from the church, or whatever the church taught me is what I think is right. But at the heart of all of that, I said this earlier, if you don't use your own agency, see, we are stripping agency out of people. We got folks who will sit there and say the pastor said this, right? The pastor said that, but not that the word of God said this, that the word of God said that. They taking
I'm
the
sorry.
words, right? They taking the
See them
words that are coming
comments?
down.
These comments are hilarious. Ty
yeah,
was like, that was his motivation to go to church so many times. And Teddy was like, you can't just say, I've conquered your body, prepare to be ravished. It's like, whoa. Now I ain't mad,
no,
ravish
yeah,
me,
you can say
honey.
that. You got to know how to say it the right way. You can say it. You can say it.
As a woman, a good woman, she open to it, baby. She'll do some things and you'll be like, in circular what? You
But this is the thing, though. This is the
That's
thing, though, Tina. That should be the woman, right? See, sexy is great. I'm a true believer in that. But I am also a man who has lived some years, right?
mhm.
And I understand sexy. I understand wanting to look at the beauty of a woman, right? That's what lures you in. And at least at the beginning, right? That's just the first thing. But the problem is covet, and I think that Falana said earlier, you coveting something that is not yours.
Mhm.
You are taking something that is not yours, and you know it's not yours. And you what they say, you putting your best out there, right? You shooting your shot to see if she gonna fall to your game. And what you are doing is you are corrupting something that was never meant for you to begin with. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, let's be real. Let's talk real here. Some of these women never are allowed, right, to come back from that because either emotionally, spiritually, physically, they are damaged. Same thing with men, right? But I see a lot of brothers, because like Jesse said, right? Rather it's a burqa, rather they walking around in a raincoat, rather they sitting under a cover, whatever they doing, you still wondering, she got a skirt on today. I wonder what them legs look like. You still, right? You a man. And you gonna shoot that shot to see what you gonna do. But that coveting is a huge part of what is messing with our church right now. You
And
taking
I think
things
the
that should not
only
belong
thing
to
that
you.
separates like the married woman that's in the church and the married woman that's not in the church is the matter of the fact that how she feels and her husband feels about her sharing her sexuality or sexiness out in public. what she
Some men
wears
like
and
that.
how she acts in public. For example, some women, some that's married and they're not in the church, they they can wear that bodycon dress. You know what I'm saying? That bodycon dress is fitting like a glove, and she go to church and she like, okay, she visiting somebody's church, like, I don't see nothing wrong with it. But a young lady who was in the church, they see what's wrong with it. Like, you can't come in here with a bodycon dress in the church. You want to come in here with something less fitting. Philanda, want to speak on that?
Ooh. So yeah, and I think our mentalities are so skewed about that. Like we think
Mm-hmm.
that we have been so trained for so long to think within the box that in order to be holy, that we have to dress a certain way. When holiness
Mm-hmm.
comes from the inside, not the outside.
Mm,
Because I can
mm,
wear that same look. I can speak for me. I
mm-hmm,
wear what I
mm-hmm.
want to wear to church.
Sure do, and I
You
love
can
it.
wear a bodycon dress. You go wear a bodycon dress to church.
I sure do. Look,
And I
regardless,
love
God
every
made this
bit of it.
body.
Just the, oh my Jesus.
Hallelujah. It
Yeah,
helps me
God
preach
made this
sometimes. Yes,
body.
Lord. Mm-hmm.
If I put on that Erica Campbell turtleneck dress that goes all the way down to my ankles, you know what, you're gonna still see my shape. In the words of my spiritual mother in the gospel, I am blessed in the city and in the field. You can't miss these curves. I don't care what I put on.
And I'm gonna drop the definition so she don't have to. She said she got the curves to please the world. Okay.
So it doesn't matter. I don't care what you like. I got it. I can't hide it. But if you're solistically looking at the contours of my curves instead of the content of my character, then that's, once again, let's be accountable. You
Mm-hmm.
need to
Mm-hmm.
check
Mm-hmm.
yourself while you here in church.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that, and it's not that. I'm making my point to treat my brothers and sisters in Christ how they want to be treated.
Mm,
I don't try to go out of my way to make people uncomfortable. So if you
mm,
see me in sweatsuit one weekend, because I do, I wear a hoodie and some jeans and some gym shoes, and then you catch me in a bodycon dress the next. If I feel that it may be a temptation for one of my brothers in Christ, then I
mm.
make it my point. I speak to you from a distance. You get the church side hug. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. At the same
Oh,
time,
you
I'm not.
good, sis, because I don't like hugging. I don't like people touching me. And you like, I'm gonna wear this bodycon dress and I'm gonna give you that little church side hug.
But like
Really?
so, but like so, here's the thing too, as well. Like for me, I have an issue with victim blaming, and here's what I
Mm,
mean by that. So like
mm,
that it's a victim blame kind of mentality. Why she can't, or why any woman can't wear what would be appropriate anywhere else to church because there's a room full of horny men who can't keep their stuff in their pants.
Mhm,
That's not her problem. We have not addressed lust in the church. We have
mhm.
not addressed dealing with the spirit of lust. We have not addressed dealing with keeping your eye focused on God. We have not addressed dealing with that because if Jesus is supposed to be our mentor, if he's supposed to be the one that we follow, our perfect example, right? Jesus was hanging out, he had some hoes around him,
sure
but
did.
he didn't let that fact cause him to fall. He
Mm,
ministered to them and caused change in their life because he was able to not deal with the flesh portion of what it was. We have not come to a place where we deal with that. I'm so tired of the repressive nature of making sure that women have to obey all these rules so that men can feel comfortable. That's not
well,
what
we gonna feel comfortable.
right,
Mhm.
right, like so. I got to make you feel uncomfortable what you want, so that I can feel comfortable. That's crazy. I
Mm-hmm.
know we're supposed to make it so that we understand, so that we don't offend the brother. Like my wife said, you try to make them not feel offended or feel as comfortable as possible. But that does not mean you have to be uncomfortable. There
And I'm
is
not
no
comfortable in the
accountability.
burqa. I'm just saying.
I can't do the
Philanda said
burqa.
she not. I'm just saying we want to
But
be
I do think
beautiful. We want to feel beautiful, and we don't want it to be that, oh, you showing your good, so you advertise it. Now I can take it.
so.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you from being a little boy, little teenage boy, right? Don't care what you're wearing. If a
Thank
teenage boy going through puberty, he don't care what you're wearing.
thank you.
His fantasy mind is
It's already there.
already active and moving. Don't matter, right? And some grown men too, right? Because what you don't get, you won't. So you know that's just a part of it. That wanting is there because you got all that needing, wanting, and desiring because you ain't getting anything, right? So whatever you see is sex. Sex, 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 sex. You see sex even when you don't want to see it, right? So
Mhm.
right, and that messes with the mind, right? So I think that it's a good thing to let people wear whatever they're going to wear, whoever they're going to be, because they should not have to give away who they are to be unhappy because of whatever holds you up, right? I will
Now this
say
this
this.
this topic then got juicy and we done went over an hour and I
I,
don't want to take advantage of y'all time, Jesse and Philonda.
I ain't
I,
going nowhere.
I will say this though. I will say that it all depends on the man.
Really?
because
Mhm.
because I'm gonna tell you, and a woman too, because I have been around people, right, where, especially in the military, where somebody has their girlfriend, not even their wife, is wearing something sexy, and we're in a situation or in a place where they're like they lose their mind because not because they didn't see her walk out the house or see her with it, but the way the other brothers responded to it. And that takes that man to another place. Now he starts to victimize his woman, right? I don't even know why you wore that. I don't even know why you did that, right? You
Now
knew
that's the
good and well,
definition of a beta male. I just want to throw that out there for
right?
Philonda.
And so we
Hey,
see that.
Regina, this is
We
juicy,
see
baby.
that.
This is the after
And
five you
then
was asking about.
what happens is now we have a victimization that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the woman is like, but I let you know when I bought this dress. I'm gonna be real with y'all because I done seen it all, right? I let you know that I was gonna buy this. So I think open conversation, honest conversation. If you cannot, and this for all even the single folks out, not just married, if you are in a relationship with somebody that you cannot be honest with, you cannot be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you tell them something, they automatically lose it, and you go, what they losing it for? That might be an indicator I should not be with this person, right? Because that's a bridge too far, right? People reach a bridge too far. And before you get into an abusive, verbal, or physical relationship, because you did not communicate these things while you were dating, seeing each other, filling each other out, right? And now when you like Philonda said, you come in with a dress and he liked it when you look because he liked the way you look. But then Bo come up and say, man, your woman looks fine, nigga. Ooh. And next thing you know, he done lost his mind. Now he done put his hands on his woman.
But that again also goes into, did you seek God about the person you was getting ready to date
They don't.
beforehand? And so, because a lot of those issues can be circumvented when that happens. Maybe I'm just different because people have stared at my wife, and we've gone to restaurants. And
He is so
one of my
simple.
favorite stories is when we were first together. I was taking her to meet some of my friends on my birthday. We went to, I think it was Texas Roadhouse or something in Columbus. So my friends are sitting at the table waiting. We came in late. We're walking down, and this old man looks, and I told her, because I saw him before she did. I said, baby, turn around, smile at him, wave at him, make his day.
Oh,
Because look, I don't mind you
say,
looking.
that is an alpha male mentality. In case I was wondering, there it is.
I'm like, I don't mind you looking. I'm with you. Part of me being with you is because you are attractive. I'm sorry, I can't be with somebody who ugly to my eye. I ain't that sure.
I'm with you.
You got to look good to me, and since you look good to me, I know you look good to somebody else. So why would I be upset because someone else is acknowledging the good thing that I got?
Now, Philonda, I gotta ask you, honey. I gotta ask you, what did you do to make that man that confident that you gonna stay with him even though somebody else is cat calling?
I let him know in the beginning of our marriage. I said, if I'm going to be with you, then know that I put my trust in you. And know when I say I'm not, I don't know what other women do, but I told him I'm not like other women. When I say that I'm with you, I'm loyal. I will leave you before I go out here and be disloyal. But first and foremost, these affairs and stuff, that takes too much energy.
Yeah,
the energy and the effort and the hiding and ain't nobody got time for that. I'm a
just want to
grown
put that definition out there. That's that alpha female. She'll let you know I'll leave you before I cheat on you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, sister, because I done said it, I meant it, and that's what it is.
Let me push back though. Let me push that. That ain't every brother. And we gonna all about it. I'm gonna let you. That's not every brother out there.
Right? You already said about the brother that gets mad and turns.
Hold on, no, my sweetie. Don't. I'm gonna be very clear what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Because let me break it down to you. If I walk in the room, you may look at my wife, and I'm gonna notice that you looking at my wife. That's all good. But I also understand this, right? Some people they ain't satisfied with looking. And if you get too close to my wife, right? Everybody, Jesse knows who he is. I know who I am. You can look at my wife, and I know I've seen men do it. But when you feel the need to come up and say something to my wife, then brother, you done
Oh
overstepped the bounds.
no! Don't mistake it. I said smile as the
And
look.
that's the clarity. That's the clarity, Jesse.
You can window shop. I got a problem with you window shopping.
But don't think
But
you're
when
taking
you
it
try
home.
to enter into the
Yes.
store,
And some brothers nowadays,
I got swords and knives in a deep trunk, and I know some places in Pittsburgh I can bury you in. Like, let's be clear.
Cause see, you got to check some brothers to let them understand, bro. Cause see, brothers, we living in a different time right now, where brothers will run up on you and your wife, right? And you got to let them understand, hey, bro, yeah. What I learned to do is I see a brother, he see my wife, he see whatever, and I look at him, he look at me. And if that brother look and see me and he go, and he move on about his business. But that's my way to let that brother know, brother, you like you just said, it's all good. You can look at a distance, you can go fantasize, whatever. But if you come in my space, I got something to give you.
And you won't be by yourself.
And I want to clarify that. I want to clarify that.
Ty Strong said, yeah, she did something to make a person like that lose faith in them. And so does a man. And Tony said, somebody gonna mess around and get Will Smith. But you see, let me tell you,
I need to punch you. I ain't open hand doing it.
Me and Eddie, when we first got married, yeah, I grew up in the church and everything, but I still like to play billiards. I'm in the pool hall and we up in there. He finally came out with me after he got off watch and everything. He was tired, he had a nap. I came home and I was like, well, come on with me to the pool hall. I want to go play pool. So he came and this guy was in there that's normally in there, and he see this big old ring on my finger, and he's like, not just one ring, but every ring on my finger, and he see, man, and his boy is telling him, you can't put that kind of ring on her finger, so you need to leave her alone. She's clearly married and she ain't giving you the time of day. So this particular time, me and Eddie go to the darn club to play pool, and it's like this dude really clowning, and he's like, Eddie is sitting on a bar stool. I'm literally sitting between his legs. And he's like, no, that's your brother. And he acting like,
hold on.
That's your brother. No. And when he approached us, go ahead, Eddie.
No, because you're not. Let me tell you what he did. I was all good with all that. I'm not I got my own confidence as who I am. My problem with that brother was that when I got ready to break the pool sticks down, because he was getting real ignorant, he was drinking.
And he kept coming too close in our space.
And I told Tina, I said, we need to get out of here, because if not, I'm going to put my hands on this brother, right? And the bouncer, the reason why I didn't have a problem with Tina going to these places, because the bouncer knew her, right? The big guy, they knew her, right? And I knew that they would watch after her. As a matter of fact, one of the brothers told me, he said, man, your wife would never have no problem coming up in here, man. We wouldn't let that happen, right? And so
God's favor has always
I was breaking the pool stick down. And this trifling brother walked up behind me on the side of me. That's funny. I just told my sons this story. And said, man, that ain't your wife. I beat yours, A to such. Now, he didn't know I was in the military. He didn't know who I was.
And he didn't know I came from the south side of Chicago, baby.
When he turned around, right? And before he realized, because I remember his eyes, right? I turned with that stick. I said, I crack your skull right up on this floor, bro. I will knock you into. And so and when I moved to go move to him, I look over at my wife. She picking up a pool ball, but the bouncer was like, whoa, what's going on? So they get ready to throw that brother out. Right, but my point it goes to this. So that's why I cut you off.
Yeah, like Teddy said, tag team. James Jefferson said Tina can't play pool, and
you got to stand up with each other.
They didn't know Eddie was crazy. They learned today. What they say, you gonna learn today.
But it's not just Eddie, right? My wife was
not. You have
right there by my side.
It has to be complimented.
So I agree with what both of y'all said with that.
You can't let your man fight by himself in your presence. You can't let your man take one for the team in your presence, and you don't do nothing.
Sometimes you got to pull your man out of there. Hey, brother, let's go, right? you got to get him out of there because you don't want him to catch a case, right?
Right.
Falana got that story. Jesse was telling us about that story. Falana.
So he had had an incident with a former friend, and the guy was coming up to him like he had not wronged him at all. And
Why
I
they
was
always do that? Why they always
in
do
church. We in the sanctuary. We not in the hallway. We in the sanctuary. And I feel when God has put you together, you can tell. Like there's a certain level of discernment. We have whole conversations without even talking to each other.
that?
And so at this point, and I'm like, okay, don't do it. I stood in between him and this guy so that he don't swing on him in church. I'm like, because if nothing else, yeah, you'll get that aggression out for the time being, but your reputation and your character as a man of God is now depleted. And sometimes you can't recover from that. And as a wife, you should be able to cover your husband. That's what being that Proverbs 31, you should be able to cover your husband.
What you say? Now that was the definition for it. And for those who in the comments, like what define cover your husband? What you say, Falana?
You have to be able to cover them. You have to look for their future and their present.
And
it's not about just because that moment. It's the present and their future. And if you can't be there, you really need to question whether or not you need to be married.
I really think that's like part of. I got to stick with the church. I'm a church boy. I grew up in church all my life. That's what I know. That's the problem in the church. We have emphasized church so much and family so little and marriage so little in the right way. We're not training people how to be husbands, training women how to be wives, and then training them how to be married together. We just want butts and seats and someone to listen. It takes understanding what really a wife is to be able to have that kind of impact on your husband where you know how to cover him and keep him when he can't keep himself. You have to know how to cover him even when he's wrong in public.
And correct him
and deal with him
in private.
That part.
Hold on. Just and vice versa. And vice versa.
Brother, that's hard.
And not only that, here is my big thing. You also have to understand, and this is the one that bites a whole lot of folk. You have to understand every hiccup, every mess up, every obstacle, every issue or whatever is not your cue to leave.
Oh man. Oh man.
Sometimes you have to
hold on.
What you say? I didn't hear you. He had to shout. I gotta adjust my earpiece. I didn't hear that.
I had to cut a step on that one because it ain't your opportunity to leave. Just because you wrong, or I'm wrong, right? I don't want to deal with it. No, we need to deal with that. Because if we don't, it's going to come up again.
And
right?
again and again. Because what we have done is we have raised a generation in the church first, which has empowered the world outside the church to do the same thing, to just go at the first sign of issue. And I surmise to you, Jesus didn't do that with us.
Yeah.
No.
He said, I got grace for you now. I want you to do better. We're going to work on it. I'm not saying you got to take any and everything continually. I ain't saying that. That'd be crazy. But at the first, second time or whatever.
We need to emphasize that. Don't run past that one. Don't run past. You don't have to take a whole bunch now.
Well, the reason that I skate past that is because that's what we teach the most. And we have misconstrued not taking a whole bunch for not taking anything. You hear women and men say, I ain't taking nothing in my marriage. Well, then you ain't gonna be married, or you ain't gonna be married at all. Because some stuff gonna happen. There's some stuff that's gonna happen that's gonna piss you off. She gonna tick you off, and he gonna tick you off, and now all of a sudden you divorcing because 6 months in they did. I just finished watching Steve Harvey has a judge show, and I just finished watching before we got on this broadcast. He had this husband and wife couple were on there suing each other, which is already stupid. $6,000 a piece, which is already stupid, because she can't cook. This is the generation of people that we raised. You man can cook, and you want
That
to sue
man
her
hungry. Stop. That man hungry. He like sex ain't all, baby. You gotta do it. You gotta do something in the
Wait,
kitchen.
she was quick to say, "Oh, the bedroom is still hot." They got 3 kids. She can't cook to him because he's got a really particular appetite, and she's got a really exotic palate. So she cooks exotic stuff, and he's like, "I don't like that." And then some stuff she just can't cook at all. So he mad that she can't cook. She mad because
He won't eat her cooking.
he won't eat her cooking. They both sue him for $6,000, and she ain't got a job.
Now
The
I'm
money
gonna
is
say
already
this.
now.
I'm gonna say this because Eddie, he was like, he didn't think that I could cook because I ain't frying a whole lot of food. I'm not frying chicken wings every
I
day.
didn't say you
I'm
couldn't
not
cook.
frying foods every day. Well, somebody got back to me and said Eddie said I couldn't cook, and
See, that's that he say, she
his
say. I ain't say none of that.
right. I'm just throwing some controversy out there. I'm gonna throw some dirt. So his mom, Eddie's mom. So mom was like, no, I know Tina could cook because her mama could cook, so she can cook. Us Shuttlesworths, we can cook, baby. We got that kitchen thing going. And it's like, you gonna divorce me over not frying chicken every night?
Why he didn't get up and cook for himself? Why he didn't cook for both of them?
Right.
What he wound up doing is because he can't cook either. He wound up he sued
Right.
her. He sued her
Now
for
I'm double mad.
$4,000 some odd dollars for going out to eat expenses and $1,000 for cooking lessons that he was about to pay for anyway. It was the dumbest litigation I'd ever heard in my life.
It took Eddie 5 years to cook it. When he did finally cook, he cooked some southern fried smothered pork chops. I was like,
I know how to cook.
you could
Look,
cook?
I grew up in a house full of girls. Look, but this is the thing, though. This is the thing.
I was like, I should have sued him. What took you so?
This is the thing, though. The reason why, so she always brings that up. But this is the thing.
I'm a mess with him.
When we was married, right? And I would come home. I'm in the military. I'm on watch. I come home. My wife cooks, right? So there was no necessity for me to cook. It didn't mean that I did not know how to cook, right? And so, and what Tina leaves out, because this is the truth.
Because I'm messing.
When she was pregnant, I did cook, right? So the reality of it is that
look what it took, though. Look at the price to get him.
I mean,
all it took was for you no longer to be able to do it,
and that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to do, right? So if she don't know, she could only cook exotic, then what you should have said was like, you know what? This is the thing. Hold on, before we say all that, we live in a day and age of YouTube and everything, recipe books, Instapots, air fryers. Man, somebody could cook something, right? It don't take a lot. But the reality,
James Jefferson being messy. Now he gonna say he agree with the lawsuit.
But look, I didn't listen to him because I know my sister can cook, right? The bottom line is, and he can too. He can grill he can cook too. You're supposed to compliment each other.
I'm gonna wait till I see him cook. I ain't tasted. I don't know. I'm just
you're supposed to compliment each other.
There.
And I think, you know what? I told y'all the other night, this is the conversation that we need to have these conversations because there are people out here right now who probably having those same situations, right? They going out with somebody, not married, just going out with somebody and they going, man, this brother cannot cook or this girl cannot cook. And I'm sitting over because I want to be with him, but this is a god awful food. I'm gonna put something out here. I ain't gonna say where. Me and Tina one time went to go visit somebody and they barbecued.
Y'all might be watching.
And they barbecued.
Be careful.
And Tina, we go over to this house to visit. This is the most god awful barbecue I've ever ate in my life. You was quite literally pulling the meat off the bone to try to eat, and I was trying to be polite. Tina,
I'm not polite. I'm not a polite
Tina
dude.
Tina is like,
you won't get invited back.
Like,
I know that'll make you happy, but
you offended my taste buds. Why I got to be caring about your feelings? You offended my taste buds.
Not only did it offend the taste bud, but even when we left, my teeth was hurting for a week. But the thing is, right? You had to eat something and basically it was bad. And so what
happened was it wasn't defrosted all the way.
We got in the car. We was driving home. And I told Tina, I said, because I told her, I said, just wrap it in a thing. I knew I was gonna throw it away when I got home. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, I told Tina, I said,
Jesse, decorum.
I went through that.
Like, forget decorum.
That's not my name.
I went through that for you. I told her, I said, I went through that for you, right? Because I'm hurting right now. I'm sucking my teeth. I'm in the car going, never again, right? But it goes to say, right? My wife, but then she, that's what she told me. Yeah, that was bad, right? Because before that, she didn't say anything, right? She kind of, went along. But
I'm not the type to hurt
we,
people's
we, we,
feelings.
and I
That's
know,
Right.
I know that's how she is. So even though I could have said, man, what's wrong with these ribs, right? Or I could have said something's wrong with this food, right? Because I didn't know these people. But the thing is, because I know how she was, right? And that's the thing. I know how she would have felt about it. So I consider those things. And so I just think it's so important that we teach people about these things, right? This is folks deal with this. This is real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
This ain't
This
no
is
act.
something
And I
this
think a lot of times marriage, and that's the misconception, and I think we need to define that. Marriage is the whole, this is the one person in my entire life I'm never going to have to worry about. That person got my back. That person's not going to leave me. That person's going to give me security. That person, if I get sick, got me. That if that person gets sick, I got them. That person I can have sex raw with, and I ain't come out
Ooh.
unscathed.
Yes,
I'm
Lord.
just saying. I'm just saying. I'm
Hold
gonna
on,
put
don't
it
rush.
out
Now
there.
you said it to me earlier. Don't rush past that. Hold on.
I had to look at the 6-4. I had to look at the time,
Okay.
make sure that we was over. We was later in the day. Okay.
We later in the day.
Whew. Okay,
Because
go ahead.
look,
I'm
everybody,
with
the
you now.
purpose of getting married is that's what we all want. Let's be real with it. We want to have that unrefined feeling that we can't get because we have some
And take out the
contraceptive
garbage.
between me and you, and I want to feel you. I want you
Yes,
to
Lord.
feel me because I need to get to a plateau. I need to get to a level, and it's not just a level in Christ. I need to get this flesh to a level where I don't go out here with a wandering eye. And I need to know that I can do that without, coming out with some stuff
Consequences.
that I didn't want and I can't get rid
Mm-hmm.
of. I can't
But,
shake
but
that.
but again, it's something that the church has to teach. The Bible says the marriage bed is undefiled before the Lord. We got to start teaching that stuff. I was listening to Kev on Stage and his wife. They do this podcast. Well, they used to. They don't do it anymore. I forget what it's called now.
The
But they were
love
making a
hour.
statement. Love Hour. Thank you. And they made a statement in there that I related to because I'm a church guy, and his wife is super churchy, and he grew up in church. So I thought, oh, I really relate to that. She said that the part of the issue is in church, basically all your life, you're conditioned to hear sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad, you go to hell, sex is bad.
Mm.
Then you get married, and all of a sudden you're supposed to flip the switch. Oh, good, sex is good. And it don't happen that way. Now you got all these hangups and all these idiosyncrasies about sex that you don't need to have because you're now married, but no one taught me that. So
Mm-hmm.
now all we do is looking at each other in missionary. It's the only thing we can do because the only reason that may be kind of good to God because it's got the word missionary in it, and that's the only thing we doing. We need to do some other things, some other positions, try some
Huh?
other stuff, be like and explore. Like
Explore.
if we teach the whole truth of the body of Christ, the whole truth of the word, and understand that sex was given for our pleasure. Yes, it was given for procreation, but it was given for our pleasure. I'm supposed to enjoy every inch down to my wife's ankle because I don't like feet, but that's just my own hang up. I don't like feet. So I'm going to enjoy her from her head to her ankle, every bit of it. Y'all best believe that's what I do. I'll sorry if y'all don't like it. Hey, that's my wife. I
Oh,
speak tongues over my wife. Thank you, Jesus,
Eddie
glory to
can
God.
definitely
Hallelujah.
relate because he even love my feet, baby. But he ain't got no problem from head to toe, okay? And I
And it's
ain't
supposed to
complaining
be that
about
way.
them skills, okay? I'm
What you
just
got?
saying.
It's no problem. And but see, that again, that goes, and I gotta put my history hat on. That comes down to that history, right? Well, when you teach a people that sex is only for a function, it's a
Mm-hmm.
function. It's not about love. It's a function. And then we teach it and we put it in our church, and we tell them, well, you're supposed to have sex with you. The good thing is we was not raised that way, right? We weren't raised that way in church. And our prophetess would always let us know. She would let us know, right? It's better to marry than to burn, but she would tell you,
Better.
right? that you should enjoy each other, right? That's what you got married to do, to enjoy each other, right? And so I don't have a problem with that. But when we don't teach it, they gonna teach it in schools. They gonna teach your kids the fundamentals of sex. And wait a minute, even before they even get down to sex education, right? I remember when they in what, 4th, 5th grade, and they out there with their friends on the schoolyard. You don't think that them kids talking about sex and what they done seen and what they done?
Well, Philanda can speak on that. Philanda, you said you didn't grow up in church.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in church, and in some aspects, I believe it was Ty who brought it up earlier about forcing your kids to go into church. My mom did not do that. My mom, Baptist, baptized in the creek. That's how she grew up. But for us, it was a choice. So for me, it was having that opportunity to understand who I was and getting to know my own sexuality before going into marriage. I didn't have any of those preconceived notions. My body was my body. Scientifically, all of our nerve endings are in the right places without being too graphic. We are created for this.
It's after 5. You can explain. You can explain.
Look, we got all of our nerve endings and we match up perfectly. This is how we were supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. It's supposed to be. So why would you
what
not?
are you saying? What are you saying?
I'm saying whatever makes you, if it makes you happy and puts a smile on your face, do it. Trust me, I'm not one of these filtered people.
Go ahead, because if look, I assume people.
I want you to say it. I want you to be clear.
Look, Philanda, let me tell y'all something. I went to film school. My first day, 2nd class of film school, I walked into an aesthetics course. The professor stood up here. We're talking about the history of film. And he was like, all y'all want to be successful directors, filmmakers. He's like, let me put something. This is a professor now. Let me put something in y'all ear that will help you be successful. Do porn. That's exactly what he said, right? He said, do porn. Industry. He said it's $1 billion industry. He said, not only that, you can do porn that ain't even what you think is porn. You can do ears, noses, eyes, teeth, lips, hair, whatever you want to do. It's a freak of the week out there for anything that you want to do. We all sitting in a class like this going, what is this dude talking about? But at the end of the day, then he brought out a graph and showed us, look, this is how much this part of the industry is made. He said, so I'm saying that to you cameramen out here. You gonna always be able to be employed. I said, "Oh my God!" Right?
Philanda, we all agree, and in the comments, Teddy, James Jefferson, everybody like, don't beat around the bush now. Go on, say it.
Baby, I got you. You're trying to be modest. I got you.
No, give me 1 second.
Go ahead, Philanda. Go ahead.
Look, when it comes to knowing your body and what pleases you, if you into whatever your kink is, whatever your fetish. If you can't, you should be able to communicate that to your spouse and make it happen. It ain't nothing. Look, your bedroom should be a playground. This is not just a place we pray at. If that's all you doing in there, I guarantee your marriage is short-lived.
You ain't got to play. You ain't got to pray in the bedroom. You go get your closet for the bed for the prayer. A bedroom for the play, toys and everything. Whatever you need.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to you.
Hey, so if he want to say a prayer while he doing what he doing, I don't care. You can pray. And if
Come
that's
on.
I'm
gonna tell you something. Some of the men,
you can this. You can do whatever you got to do. Just get me where I need to be.
Some of the men need to be praying before, but some men need to be praying before they do anything anyway. Because so just so they know, right?
Pray, matter of fact, you good enough. You pray in the midst of it. I've done it.
Yeah, pray in the midst of it. Pray in the midst of pray after, right? Thank God after, right?
Right.
Thank God for the beauty of what He gave you. Now, people will say to yourself, I saw my brother over there, y'all nasty. Look,
I sure am. Call me the nasty pastor. I sure am.
But
yes,
this is the thing, though.
Married. I think he meant to say married.
If we don't teach people that there is nothing wrong with you having that relationship with your spouse and being Christian and understanding that there's nothing wrong with that, then we create these problems, right, of people going outside their marriage to get what they want, right?
In the Catholics, they call it the Madonna complex, where you want your wife to be the Virgin Mary, but you'll sleep with everybody else outside the marriage because you can't see her in a certain light. I'm like, look, you need to see me in all aspects, all angles. all 3 degrees, upside down, the whole 9 yards. When we start putting restrictions on what we do as a married couple, that's when we start to fall short. Because guaranteed, if these needs aren't getting met in your bedroom, they're getting married and getting met in somebody else's.
Somebody else is gonna be doing it.
Said, "Don't push me," and Teddy said, "Pray for the second win." But
Second,
Philanda,
third, fourth, and fifth.
for a woman in the church, we want to say, because now you're a virtuous woman, and we can speak for the virtuous women now because we married. Now, tell me, how do you get a man to see you as not being the Virgin Mary in the room, so he'll know he don't have to wander somewhere else to get fulfilled that play he wants to play?
I had no problem with telling my husband I do everything, and I did not sugarcoat this. I
You mean like you sugarcoating it right now?
No, I get what you're saying.
No, let me be honest with you. Look, our first date, I was like, "Look, check it. Here are the goods." I did. I had no problem. I was like, "Look,
TMI on the first date."
I did. I was like, "Look, I am a realistic woman. I got needs. I like everything. If you can't deal with me, then I'm not the one for you." I have studied and practiced BDSM. I go the full gamut. I slide down a pole. I can pray with you. I can do it all. And this is who I am.
Don't go past that. Don't rush past this.
I won't.
Tell them we doing it all, baby. We doing it all.
I do it all. I was like, "What you need? I got what you need." And if you're not comfortable with it,
married so long, girl, let me tell you a secret.
When they ask people, why do people say married so long? You ever notice if you see 2 older people who've been married for decades, whatever, they've been married, they got all these grandkids, they got all these kids, right? And then you turn around, they say, "How y'all stay married so long?" And you look over at the man and smile like this, and the woman smiling like this too, because they already know, right? They satisfied and happy. It is natural, it is spiritual, right? And so I think that's the thing. Look, whatever you want, right? That you wanted, but we talked about this the other night. You ask God for. You ask God for that. You go to God and say, "Lord, you know me. You know how you made and designed and created me. And so this is what I want that will complement." That's what we said earlier, right? Complement me, right? Make me happy. And you put that to God. That might mean that you get you a freak, right? That's what they call it. They call it a freak, but if it makes you happy, that's what keeps you, right, stable, to not have, like you said earlier, that wandering eye, because you're not getting what you want, right? They're not doing giving you what you need. And at the heart of all of that, that's what it comes to, right? Because, they don't have a sex ministry in none of these churches. And I know that sounds crazy.
Because a lot of them, they stop having sex with people. Well, stop having open sex with the person they're supposed to be having it with. That's why they can't have a sex ministry, because they can't talk about it, because somebody else is going to step up. But wait a second, you saying that right now, but hold on, that was what you were saying in my bed last night.
There you go.
I know y'all saw that video that leaked out of that preacher who was eating out. Now, I don't mean in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I was saying, "Oh my Lord."
Yes.
Your wife wouldn't let you. What happened? What went wrong there?
But see, the fact that it's a couple of issues with that, right? I'm gonna use the more technical term. The fact that he's doing fellatio or whatever, right? And that's one. 2, he's doing it with somebody other than his wife. That's 2. 3, he's filming it, right? There's a camera there.
I didn't know. Did he know it was being filmed?
Regardless, there's a camera there. Somebody filming something, right?
I think he was a little too busy and distracted.
So you film it. Come on now. I know camera. Whether it's your
you can't miss that light.
You can't miss that light, right?
You can't miss that light.
In a dark room. So whatever you
the angle the person had to have been holding. So now he knew.
Exactly. He knew. So you was doing all of these freaky things, right? With somebody that's not yours. That you went to God with, because I had that too. That you went to God, stood before God and said, "This is who I'm gonna be with. This is who you have made and designed to be with me," right? You went to God and made that contract to God. And so now you not being honest with that person, or you're not getting what you want. So you're going to go find somebody else to go get. So there's a couple of things that he did wrong there, right? And so I think what we're hitting right here is that in the end of it, if you're not satisfied, what I'm going to tell you from my perspective, leave that person alone. Don't lead nobody down a false path because you're not satisfied. You're not happy. Leave that person alone. It's better to marry than to burn.
But something that they don't want to do, yeah, you do have to leave. But is it wrong in the church for us to film ourselves doing what we do?
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
Nope. Quick, Jeff.
Again, the marriage bedroom is undefiled. The problem only comes in if I can't.
What do you mean undefiled?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the Jesse definition that I like to give that folks don't like, but it's my definition. Here, what this means: if you want to have freaky circus sex with a chimpanzee filming, you good. It does not matter what you do as long as you are not bringing someone else into it that has not been ordained. Only people who are ordained.
I was listening before you said that. I was listening before you said don't bring. No, I'm messing with you.
And the only reason you can't bring someone else into it is because you caused them to commit fornication while you were committing adultery. Outside of that, you can get you a camera, get you some toys, get you some swings, whatever you need to do what you need to do. And here's the thing now, the marriage bedroom is not always your bedroom. The marriage bedroom can be your couch. The marriage bedroom could be a car in the parking lot if you want to. The marriage bedroom could be wherever you need to be that is safe and legal that you ain't gonna get caught and go to jail with. Go on ahead and take care of that. The problem again, we have not taught the church. We've not taught people how to deal with these issues and how to understand these issues. And so because we've made them so taboo, we've made them attractive. One of the greatest reasons that woman was attracted to the fruit wasn't because it looked any better than any other fruit. It's because God said don't eat it, and somebody said, why not? And the enemy was like, why not? She's like, you know what? I guess I can't eat that. Well, it's the best fruit I've never had. No, it ain't. It tastes like every other fruit in the garden. You just wanted it because you were not allowed to have it.
You were not allowed to have it.
We've made sex be this taboo fruit that everybody wants to run to. And because we have gone ahead, you can cash at me at 25 high praise. I ain't missing offer now. I missed the cost offer.
You know what though? Look, the other thing with that too is, right, we was talking earlier about that whole missionary position thing, and I was going to say something about it, but whether it's false history or not, the reality of it is that all of those that prim and proper Protestant whatever way of having sex comes from somebody, right? Europeans, right, who thought that this was wrong because when they came across what they call native or hedonistic people, that's what they called them, right? They were having sex in multiple different kinds of ways, right? Bending people over, laying on the side, anywhere, everywhere, in the woods, on a tree, hanging from a tree, right? And so they was like, oh my God, this is wrong. This is wrong. Now, what's so funny in those societies historically is that when they was all preaching this missionary position and the early European church was saying that, they were sneaking out in the woods and having sex with the women, just like the native folks that they said, right? That's why
it felt too good. It felt too good to be in that position at that time.
Because that was what it should have been. Because that was a natural way to be free and having sex, right? And they didn't want to be open with that. So they wanted to do something where it was dominant. Understand what that missionary position is. Man on top, woman on bottom, right? They wanted to create a dominant fixture there to suggest to you the way they saw society. But when they wasn't, when you go look when they was burning all them witches and stuff like that, they was calling them people witches because this was the women that was being snuck off.
They was putting stuff.
They was putting it on them.
They was putting that thing down.
There you go. So people need to understand that history of that and the lie that the church that has evolved into where we are right now, right? I tell Tina all the time, think about it. That slave owner sat in that house with his prim and proper missionary wife. But every night he would sneak out there, sometimes during the day, and he go get that woman out that field, right? Right? Didn't matter whether she had washed herself at all, right?
Sweating, stinking, and everything.
Didn't care, because what she had is what he wanted, and he took it anywhere he was gonna take it. So I people get real.
Now, guys, I want to ask y'all, since you own that, Eddie, I want to ask. There was a young lady from the church, and she was like, you know how this is, Philanda. You out, you work, and you go outside. You don't want to come inside smelling like outside. What the old school people say, you smell like outside. You want to wash off before you are giving yourself to your husband, or you approach your husband for sex or whatever. And she was like, well, I wanna go and shower after, before we have sex. Is that
get a shower
wrong?
after, or for what? You gonna get a shower after? If I do it right, you get a shower after. How about this? How about we do it
If you do
beforehand?
it right, we gonna go to sleep after this.
We should be going to sleep.
How about we do it this way? You come on in, I put it on you, go ahead and get in the shower, and I put it on you again when you get out, and then we go to sleep. See, I don't care, as long as you don't smell like a skunk. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm ignorant. Even if you do smell like a skunk, I know how to put some cologne right up under here. So because I've been to church with some stinky armpit people.
Yeah, they don't care.
Had to pray for them. So let me get some right up here. So it's right up on my nose. All I'm doing now I'm smelling my cologne. Let me get it in. I don't care.
Do you think the folks out in the West, back in the day, right, before we all had soap and Jergens and all this wonderful stuff, some of the people that washed their behinds for weeks, but you still here, right? Sex was still had.
It's still good.
They went and jumped in the river with the fishies and the stinking and whatever. They didn't care. They did whatever they was gonna do. But in the end of the day,
you look like you got something you want to get off your mind.
Like, realistically, with women like that, and I understand where some of these women come from, and that's because they've never had a real conversation with another woman who's been through some things and understands some things. They figure they have to do that because, for me, sometimes it's the equivalent. You ain't going to a restaurant eating off of a dirty dish. So I may need to wash the dishes before I serve this food.
Yeah.
But for some women, they don't understand that, because we've been taught for so long, especially as women, that we need to be a certain way. That our natural body, that we don't have natural body odors. Like our body don't naturally do anything. So you figure, in order for me to be in the mood, or for me to be prepared for sex, that I got to do a certain thing. And look, realistically, I tell a whole bunch of women that these men don't care. You think they care? Absolutely not.
And they tell us things like, if you can smell you, they can smell you. Like, what if that's now my uncle William, he put me on game
women
way back when.
Men don't care.
A man will pay through the nose. He loved that funky stuff. I was like, tell me, uncle, tell me.
Hear the real raw truth of it. Sometimes your all dayness has allowed for some moisture and secretions that would not normally be. So it may sometimes be a little bit better and easier to slide on in, because it's got a different kind of moisture, different kind of feel. Listen, I'm like Joe. Now, because there is a compromise. So I'm like Joe. I want to know what turns you on. But at the same time, I need you to be like in vogue. Give me something I can feel. That's what I need you to do. And so sometimes it takes, okay, we're going to wait for the shower. And sometimes, hey, look, bump the shower. Bump the bedroom. Wherever it is. My wife will tell you, I'm handsy. I'm handsy. We have walked in the door of the church. She had to slide herself away because she know what's coming. Look, this is my wife. I'm about to say holy hands. Y'all get out my way.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing wrong with it. Now, look, some men might get turned off by smells. You know the man you would.
But that, if you communicate this is what people fall short at. Communicate what you like and what you don't like.
There you go.
Don't wait for me to figure out or assume that I know. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need.
Tell me what you need.
That's you gonna put that to music.
There you go. Look, and let me add this.
It ain't good enough for you.
Maybe if she feeling that way, right? Take her up in there. Run a bath for her. Give her a bath, right?
Ain't that what Teddy Pendergrass said?
Yeah. Put her down with some oils. Thank you. You get exactly. Turn off the lights, right? Turn them off. And
Now, a
then
lot of men have a problem with being able to get her to climax. If
That's
you doing what this right here, you saying you get put her in that bathtub and rub her down.
Well, here part of the reason for that too. Here, and I'm very adamant about this. Here, the part of the reason that you can't get your woman. I'll be nice and I use your word and say climax. First time I say climax in years. I don't normally use that word, but
What do you say? Say what you
oh, I
say.
say come. Listen, that's
Oh,
me. Come
okay.
and orgasm. Those are my two words. But you say climax. I'm be nice. Your show. We gonna say climax.
We can do what you
Part
do.
of being able to get your woman to climax is sometimes you have to learn how to listen to them, and just as importantly, women have to learn how to be comfortable giving instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Hello.
also an issue with women, not something that has not been justly brought upon them. Like they have an issue
they
giving
have an issue.
instruction because they have been taught and societized into thinking they're not allowed to do that. Don't be bossy, just take what you can get. No, I need
Mm-hmm.
you to
Mm-hmm.
tell
Say
me
that
because
again.
my
Take what you
job ain't
can get.
complete.
This ain't the color purple. Take what you
No,
Right.
can
no,
get.
no. Give me some instruction, right?
Please do,
Of
because
what
my
it
job
is
ain't
that,
complete
yeah,
until you get at least 3.
yeah.
I
Because
want you to have at least 3.
if I don't know what if I don't know
Yolanda, why
what
you put you out there like that?
if don't
Spoiling.
nobody tell
I'm
you,
old now, so
right?
maybe 1.5, but it used to be 3. I'm old now.
Yeah.
Yolanda, why does he put you out?
No, but that's truthful. It's so much there's a lot of men and a lot of women out here, right? There's a whole pathos out here. People who say, "Well, the woman can't have a orgasm." Right? I've never had one. I don't understand what that is, right? And holding it against men, right? And there's some women, and I'm gonna say it, who will go out who have gone and left having sex with men to go have sex with women because
Mm-hmm.
they
Uh-oh.
say that
Now
the
this
woman.
gonna have
No,
to this
stop,
go
stop, hold
into
on,
a whole
no.
hour
I'm not
because
trying to
we
offend nobody.
got
I'm not trying to offend nobody. I'm just being real honest.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Mm-hmm.
left men,
Yes.
right, to
Mm-hmm.
go be with women because they feel like they cannot be satisfied with a man. And
Mm-hmm.
so what's crazy about that, they using toys and everything else, right,
That look like a man.
that look like
Mm-hmm.
a man, but because they can talk to a woman and they don't even tell you she
And that's
understand what I'm
important.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
She listened to me. I told her what I like. But you didn't tell that man, right? And like Jesse
Mm-hmm.
just said, because society and conditioning has taught you that you can't tell that man these things. So what you do is you say, "Well, I'm just going." What? He went to the bathroom on me.
Cause
Well,
like
wait a minute. Wait a
Tony
minute.
Bristow, like
Yeah,
Tony
yeah,
Bristow said, as long as she do what I tell her. But
ain't,
what we saying is we all gotta do what's being
ain't that what
told.
was said? The color purple.
Right.
Hey, the color purple. Did she say he would go to the bathroom on me? That's how she felt, right?
That's what she thought it was.
Because she
What she
thought
Mm-hmm.
that's
say,
what
Jesse?
sex
What she say?
was.
Come. That's what she thought that
Well,
was.
in that same movie, the first time she said she ever made love was with that Suge Avery character because that was the first time she ever felt loved and cherished. Come on now, y'all need to understand. This is the society we living in.
Mm-hmm.
And women need to be church women and outside women, outside the church, communicate with this man. Let this man know what's going on with you. Because the
And
man
stop
gonna get
being
his. If you don't tell him, he gonna get his, right?
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole song about I got mine, you better get yours. And stop being with some of these insecure men who can't take instruction. Like
Right.
your job as a man is to not only cover, provide, and protect your wife, but also to please her. That's why I said my job is not complete unless I do. She'll tell you, and if she mad at me, she'll tell me she mad at me off camera. We've talked about all kinds of stuff like this beforehand. There have been times where I haven't, and she'll tell me because I ask, "Did you?" No, and I get mad because my job ain't done. And now and I feel like I got a job to do. It makes no sense for me to be the only one pleased in this situation.
Okay, so now
It's
you're
just
gonna
me.
have to elaborate on that.
Preach
What
that.
did you do to correct that? Because I think that's a large part of a
Oh,
man's
she'll tell
problem.
you, I ask questions. Hey, what'd you like? And she had no problem telling me, hey, look, hold on. So that she taught me a trick. I ain't gonna go into detail about
Oh,
it, but she taught me a trick.
hold
Um,
on. That's a whole nother segment. These
That's a
tricks.
whole nother
I can go
segment.
into detail. I'm just gonna say she taught me a trick because I was dining one way
Uh-huh.
and she
Uh-huh.
needed me to
Uh-huh.
dine a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
she had not told me to dine a different way that worked for her food, I
Mm-hmm.
would have kept dying the way that I knew to dine that worked in previous times. She said, "No, you gotta do this, that, and the third." I said, "Okay, let me try it." And when I tried it, as this is how it has to be. You have to tell me because I'm not you. I've never been a woman. I
Come on
don't
now.
have a vagina. I don't have a clitoris. So I don't know how those things work. I don't know what it feels like to do that. So you got to
Exactly.
tell me, does this feel good to you or not? I can tell you if it feels good to me. You don't know if it feels good to me. You didn't mess around and grip so doggone hard. I'm losing circulation in both heads. No. Lighten up a little bit. Because you don't know. You don't have it. If you have to teach a person how to be with you physically,
Yes.
emotionally, spiritually,
Come on now.
mentally,
Mm-hmm.
on every level. I tell people relationships is training. We hate
Mm-hmm.
to hear the word train because, oh my God, I ain't no dog. But you ain't never dated Jesse before. Jesse's a
Mm-hmm.
whole issue. And if
Now,
you
Philanda,
ain't dated Jesse, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I gotta say, Philanda, kudos to you, baby, because a lot of women, especially a virtuous woman, she don't think that she should correct her husband like that and tell her husband what she like and how to do, because he gonna be like, well, how you know? How you know that that's what you like? Now that's you. This what you like? How how did you do that? How did you approach him? You gotta now. Once you tell the secret, once it's out there, you gotta explain, baby.
No, it's me being really honest with him because we started our relationship honestly.
Yep.
I was like, look, you most people be like, especially women, we got to feel like, well, if you were not going into a relationship a virgin, you feel like, oh, I can't, I don't want you to know my. I'm like, dude, I've been there, done that. I can write books.
And I
There
will
have
read them.
there have been movies made. Quit playing with me. I'm not the right. I'm not that one.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Now
experience.
I'm
Not
gonna have to
only that,
say it. I'm gonna have to say it because you speaking from one. That's that perspective. I'm gonna speak for the virgins, baby. Just because you a virgin don't mean you don't know what feel good, and you don't know how
right?
to tell them it feel good. But you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, but so you have to so for me it was I'm like, look, I know what works for me. Beyond any other man touching me.
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
my body.
Mhm.
And this is what works for me. And if your goal is to please me, this is what
Mm.
works for me.
Hello.
None of us are the same. I don't care what man woman combination you make. None of us are the same. So what worked in your past? I had to talk to look when it came to hand job. Is that too much?
Nope. Go
You can
ahead.
say whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all. It's 8, 9
It
o'clock, 10
sounds like
o'clock
you
now.
about to divulge another trick though.
Yeah, when it came to that, I'm like, look, I want to please you. If we married. If we is in a because we've been to movie theaters where we've been the only two people in the movie theater. I'm like, if given space and opportunity, we love each other.
Mhm.
And
I
we
was
can
like,
love each other wherever we are with whatever we have,
right,
whether it's your hand or whatever you trying to do,
right.
because
So
that's sexy.
there is. I'm like every now and then we driving home from after a long. We done went out on date night. You may have to get stuff started before we get to the house.
Because truth be told, we're all so old, and we get in the house to get too comfortable, so we may go to
We
sleep.
going to sleep.
Let's rev the engine now. So by the time we get in,
We can just get
we
in.
can get in and go on. And here's the thing. So I'm gonna say something to what my wife said. Y'all let me know if I've gone too far because I know I'm about to go
You
out
have
there.
to pull us
Y'all let me
back.
know, rein me in if I need to be reined in because I'm about to say something that has actually gotten some of the members that I used to have. They left because of this. So, because that's how I
Now
know I'm
I'm
out there.
intrigued. I'm
But
about to listen.
it's the truth nonetheless. So, part of the reason that it becomes harder for women, especially, but also men, to be able to articulate what feels good to them and tell someone else what feels good to them is because we have made masturbation in the church a sin, and that's not what the Bible says. The scripture that
We
they use concerning masturbation has nothing to do with masturbation. It has to do with pulling out. God told the
mm,
man, he told he got the
Oh no.
law was that when if you are the oldest in the home
Yep.
and you die, and you have no children, your next brother in line is supposed to sleep with your wife
mm,
and bear children.
mm,
And that will be a part of your legacy, the dead older brother.
mm,
The younger brother was told, go enter into your dead brother's wife. so that she can have children. He knew he did not want that legacy, so he pulled out, and God got mad because he spilled his seed to the
On
ground.
the ground.
Somehow we have translated that into masturbation, and that's not the truth. And then we use a lot that says, "Oh well, in order to be able to masturbate, you have to be thinking about all kinds of foul things." No, you don't, because I was a
Who
16-year-old boy
said that?
in class, in math class, and I was standing at attention, looking at the board, trying to figure out a math problem. It has nothing necessary. You don't have to deal with impure thoughts in order to do that. But in order to understand what feels good, what stroke feels good, how fast, how slow, in order for her to be able to know how this feels good in what area, sometimes you have to explore that yourself, so that way, when you get to the person you were supposed to be with, you can help them along the way. Why should I practice everything else in life to perfect it, but I can't practice that?
Well, that comes again too with our American mentality, right? Because if you've been other places in the world, they're not so held up on those taboos and those things. We create those taboos. We lie to ourselves in the way we do different things, and so there's not a house in America, right, with teenage boys.
Yes, Lord.
That the boys
or girls.
Don't cast
we
them
ain't never been no girls.
We got girls. I could talk about boys, right? Y'all can talk about girls, but there's not a house in America with teenage boys, right, or boys that they're not doing that. Boys, right, psychologically, if we get into the Freudalism, right, they grab a yank, and you can watch little baby boys will play with they toggle, right, because it feels good to them, right? That's just reality. Now we dissuade them, stop doing that, right? Because you don't want them to do it, because they don't have any concept of when they're doing it or where they're doing it in public or whatever. But it does not take away from the idea of what feels good and what is pleasurable, right? So they learn that at a very early age. They learn, hey, this feels good, right? So yeah, I think that there is a lot of hang up.
Not to cut y'all off, because we all running into the third hour, but some people are saying this is a good show. We want to know more. So I'm not mad to keep giving more. How y'all feel?
I got to get Sean Anthony's cake though, so I got to get out of here to go do that.
So how y'all feel, Philanda?
We can continue at another time if y'all need to.
Yeah, look, I'm with you, Philanda, because I told y'all the other night, these are conversations that need to be had.
It has to be, and it's been too long. It's been too long,
and
there's so many people that feel like they can't be married and be right.
There's so many people.
What's right?
I'm sure it's people who heard this tonight and was like, "What the hell are these people talking about?" They got on here and was like, "Oh,
they all going to hell, every last one of them."
Right? And I'm sure, but for single people, and I keep stressing that, this lets them understand, man, you're not getting married to die, right?
Right.
You're not
marriage is not the death sentence.
I'm finna get married, and that's the end of my fun.
You know what? I did see a Facebook post. Yeah. I did see a Facebook post, and that somebody was asking, well, why is it that these women get out there, or some people, I think it was women, get out there and now they wilding out in social media after they get divorced?
Because they was held
sexually repressed in the marriage.
Because as we said earlier, right? If you marry somebody who got issues, problems, right? They not mature yet, right? And you get with them because, again, that's that covet part. I want him. He look good. I want her because she look good. And so you get into a relationship with them, and then you want to hold them prisoner. Like, no, you ain't going to never show nobody, right? What happens is that after a while, somebody want to get free. I got to get the heck out of here because you hold me down, right? I don't want to just be putting on missionary position every night. I want to get out here and get wild, get freaky, right?
Let me over sometime.
Yeah. And you sit up here talking about
y'all gonna catch a ticket. Y'all,
let me tell you something.
Y'all gonna get a ticket.
if you cannot be honest in your sexuality, right? And honest with the fact that you all are together, right? Then that's gonna be a problem. Birth, having babies is such a physical thing. And when a man goes in, I'm going to tell you, we was just talking about that, right? Goes in a room and has to sit there and watch his woman bring forth that life. Man, you're going to see everything. Things you never thought you ever wanted to see, right?
Don't look down. Don't look south. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
better look, because I want to know. Describe it to me. I have
And
Yeah,
mirrors.
then,
that's what
I
and,
had
the
to put a
doctor.
mirror.
I'm looking you in your
No,
eyes.
don't do
yeah,
it. If I
it's a
had
lot.
if I
It's
had
a
seen someone give birth before I had my daughter, I was in the delivery room and made the mistake and looked down. I didn't know our bodies could do that. I was like,
yes,
I did that. I did that.
yes. It's an
I was
amazing
scared, sis.
thing.
I was scared. I had to see videos. I researched. I was scared. I didn't know what to. Now, see, the only thing I was praying for, Lord, let me orgasm before I ever have to go through such horrible pain that people have described this situation to be. And
Mhm.
being a virgin, I was like, and I was really skinny. I was like 100 pounds. And you telling me what's about to come out of where? Now, I done
Wait.
gained about 20 pounds of baby, and it's getting ready to come out of where? This the bulk of my weight here. And you said I'm about to do what with it? Girl,
Mhm.
I was scared. I was like, oh, Jesus, just let me at least have an orgasm and have as much fun as I can before you allow this to
Before it
happen
breaks.
to me.
And I'm gonna be real with you. As a man, you sitting there, you say to yourself, "Oh my God, what in the world?" Let me tell you something about all these brothers out
Wanted
here
a
too.
mirror. I still wanted
Now,
a
let, let,
mirror,
let me tell
and
you
I was
something.
entertained all 4 times. I'm just saying, that's
Let me
just
tell you
me.
something about all these brothers out here. If you one of them brothers who caught up in the idea, right, that I'm the biggest, longest, strongest brother out here,
You ain't never been bigger than the baby head.
you ain't never been bigger than that baby that's coming out of there, right?
Right.
Ever.
Oh
So,
man, you just scared some folks. So you mean no matter how many times you
so,
work out,
so
you ain't gonna be ready.
as much as you out here bragging about your machismo, I'll put it that way, right? Look, when you see a baby come out, when you see that
Change
life
your
come
whole
out,
life.
right, bruh, and it ain't just the baby. The placenta is
Mhm.
coming out of there, right? Man, come on. You can't tell me nothing, right? And you go, if you there, that's why I think it's so important for a male to be there, because when you sitting there looking like, because that's how you go look, like, whoa, I didn't know that was, whoa, right? Yeah. But we all go come out of that body, out of that female body, right? Rather you cut out, rather you come out through there. You coming out of there. She's
Mhm.
holding that,
What
right?
did you think when you saw Jesse?
Oh, I didn't look. Listen, I knew better. The former minister of music at the church I grew up in, he used to always say, "Some things are caught rather than taught." No one had a teacher show me that. I caught that from conversation. I ain't need to know. I don't need to see it. Something I'm not Thomas. I ain't got to see to believe. I already believed it. Blessed are they who believe without seeing. I ain't got, but I also recognize that. So I think we talked about this last night as well. The woman opens for the man, right? So especially when you are with that one designed for you, it'll open to your capacity, and it'll
Mhm.
feel like that's all that can go.
Mhm.
And then you realize the baby's didn't come forth because now that was its function for that.
Yep.
And now the beauty of it is it comes right on
Falls
back
right back.
together just for you. So
Just for you.
I've never been into that, how long, how big game. All I care about is did I do my job? It's always
Mhm.
I have no control. Well, but prior to this new generation, they got pills and additives and surgery for everything. I grew up. I'm old enough to have grown up at a time where none of that was the case. So I only had what God blessed me with. What He
Now,
blessed me
Alana,
with
that comes
is
to
good
speak
enough for
to
whoever I'm supposed to be with.
that comes to your part. A lot of women, like you said, you had other guys before.
Mhm.
How did you make sure that you was tight enough?
So for me, it was
Oh, yes, Lord. I'm sorry.
stop it.
I'm sorry.
Stop it. Now you're acting up. No, for me, for one, look, understanding, knowing my body. Look, Kegel exercises are real.
Mhm.
Do that. Do
And
what
it
you got
worked.
to do, and it
It worked.
works. Other than that, it was so crazy. More confirmation to know that God had fashioned us one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I'm a pretty, I can
She
take a
tight.
lot.
She tight. And
Yeah, I can
that's
take
trying
a
to say.
lot. Like, I've been with
And
some
expands well.
really, really blessed men.
Uh,
I can take a lot. I'm a very sturdy girl.
Hey, it was made to take a beating, and that's what they don't
Right.
understand.
Those good tires.
Make me
Yeah.
scream. Yeah.
But when I knew that he was for me over the course of time, over our marriage, it literally, my muscles conformed to fit him. I was like, this thing is getting tighter. TMI. I was like, this thing is getting tighter. Like, I know me and I know what I can. This thing it's getting tighter. I thought they say you couldn't do that as a woman after you've had children, you get older.
Well, wait, here's
So
the
tell
thing.
me what God can't do.
And a lot of women get scared about that, and they don't think that the man can feel them. But there's things that we as a woman can do to help our man feel it like a tight
Well,
glove.
some women who you ain't supposed to be, some of the men with women ain't supposed to be with, so they don't feel anything because you know you ain't supposed to be with her anyway.
On a hot dog down the hallway.
trapped in the space, can't get out. Trapped in the closet.
But on the flip side of what she said, while she was like, hers was getting tighter, I noticed something about, because again, we're fashioned for each other. This is why I promise you, no matter what happens, she can't go nowhere. I promise you. But this is it. Well, we had this conversation. We had a weird conversation last night where I said something to her. I was like, "Hey, look, even if you," I'll just be like, "Oh no, that was today." Even if you, whatever. I'm 40. I ain't trying to start over no more. I have learned. I've seen though that. To be nice like she was, I have expanded just a little as well to help fit her. God has a very unique way of making sure that those he have put together continue to evolve and conform to one the other.
Now, what's that you said about God do what with a marriage?
He has a unique way of making so.
No, you made it. You had quoted the word. You was like, when God puts people
Oh no,
together.
I said when what preachers say when two people get married is what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. But God has to join you.
Yeah, but you said something about when I'm just gonna say it. When God puts the marriage together, he adds to the marriage because he gives that marriage favor. He gives it favor. And a lot of people think that that favor is exclusive to something. It's exclusive to nothing. Let me tell you something. Now, being a virgin, I'm just going to say, I have noticed through the years the difference that it makes. And it's not just, your feet don't just stop growing. What they say.
In the end
I'm
of the
just
day,
going to put it like that. Your feet don't stop growing.
In the end of the day, you need to be able to please each other. And however God brings that together, however he does that. If he does it, he makes your nose bigger, your ears bigger, whatever freaky thing, deaky thing you want to get into.
And
right?
you can ask God for that.
But
you can ask God for that.
If you like,
you don't have to have surgery. You can ask God, and he will give it to you.
Right.
But it got to be complimentary, right? It got to be complimentary. It has to be something that you want, right? God's gonna give you what you want and what you need. So I think that marriage is, especially when you honor your marriage, right?
Yeah.
When you honor your marriage, and that's a part of it too. If you're honoring your marriage, that means that you're not out here. Look, let me tell y'all something. If I put 5 men in a room and a woman walks through, Philando said it earlier, and she has a form-fitting dress on, one of them dudes is not gonna look, right? He gonna fight not that he don't want to look, right? But he gonna fight himself. But I tell you, majority of them gonna go, because that's just a man, right? We that's how we look.
And there's some good women that'll see that form-fitting man and be like, and won't do nothing else.
Let's stop acting like it's just men to do that, because gray sweatpants is a thing for women. I learned that when I got with my boy gray sweatpants. Okay, I got what I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
With Eddie Jesse, he had these beige pants. It was the beige khaki pants. Did it for me every time. I was like,
People have whatever they desire, right? And that's the thing. But when there's a difference, and I say this because so many people, they be like, I what Jimmy Carter say? I sinned in my heart, right? Look. That saying Jimmy Carter, looking too, right? He can tell himself he ain't looking, but the thought is in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's the things that you act upon and the things that you choosing to do. I honor my wife, right? So I understand that, yeah, like she said, if I'm looking at a television, some girl jumps on her breasts, she in a bikini, oh wow, right? I'm gonna respond to that going, wow, oh wow, right? And let me tell y'all a quick story because I know
And the
we're running
question
on time.
is
No,
it a sin?
let me tell you a quick story. One of my kids, I ain't gonna say which one. I ain't gonna put him out there. One of my sons
Like,
one
thank you,
time.
Daddy.
One of my sons one time, very young. Tina and I was in, so I got this through the story. Tina was watching something on television, right? And there was a lady, regular TV show, wasn't nothing on cable, wasn't cable necessarily, but the girl was in a bikini, right? So my son, young son, walks past and he sees the girl in the bikini. He knows you could pause television. He was young too, real young. And he tells her, Mom, pause that. Right? Because he liked what he saw. Right? Something about what he saw made him. So don't, that's a male.
And
There
me
are
quick to
males.
the slow, me being quick to the
Right.
slow, I paused like, what's
So
going on?
when she told me this, right, I cracked up laughing, right? I was like, oh my God. So I asked my son on Skype, I said, what did you see that you liked? He was like, it just looked good, Daddy. And I said, oh wow. Well, you know what you like. I'm gonna add
I did
one more.
not scold him. They get
No,
to
you don't have
choose.
to. That's in them. I'm gonna give you one more. In the car, different son, because I got 4.
Oh Lord.
Riding
You
in the
putting them
car,
all out there
went to go pick them up from school, right?
when
And
they were going to traditional school.
driving back, and one of my sons, he know who he is. He goes, Dad, I got a question for you. I said, what? He's like, Daddy, is it okay to bite a girl? I said, what? And I'm driving, right? Trying to keep my composure. My other son is in front cracking up. He goes, no, I don't mean to hurt her, just to bite her a little bit, right? Just to
Little nibble, little nibble.
just a little nibble. And so I had to pull over to the side of the road, right? Because I'm cracking up, right? And I'm like, boy, are you biting on girls? He was like, no, Daddy. I guess got a question because I think about sometimes, would it be okay just to nibble on them a little bit? I think it would feel good. And I said, okay. Will you one day get with a woman that you're supposed to be with? And he was young, right? I said, you could consider that. And if she likes that, that's fine. I said, but you don't need to be biting on no girls right now, right? Now, I say all this to say, this is intrinsic in men, right? And this is intrinsic even at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, Jesse, he eloquently put it several times. We are not women. So we cannot talk to you about how women feel. But we can tell you that at a young age, boys got these questions.
Yes,
and if
Lord.
they don't have nobody to answer those questions, they go to a path of least resistance. Then they got to go out and field test what they think, right?
Mm-hmm. Trial and error.
Let me go grab, nibble, whatever. So he was wise enough to say, Daddy, is this okay? Right? When it crossed his mind. And so I say that to everybody out here. Well, you got to be open with people. You got to be open with your kids. You got to be open. We talk about church.
And not make them feel some kind of way.
Don't make them feel some kind of way about it, right? Because they actually are asking you. And don't put your own issues with it either. Like, yeah, I don't think you should ever bite nobody. Boy, that's wrong.
Like, I remember when the soap operas was big when I was a little girl, and my mama was watching the soap operas. I just happened to come in, sit down, we were watching, and then we were sitting there watching until it was over, and then it was time for me to go to sleep. And I got up and I said, Mom, I had a dream, and I explained it like that soap opera I just seen. She said, oh, don't watch no more soap operas. And then she would give me these novels. It was I don't know, you know them novels.
Those Harlequin novels. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, them books.
She wanted me to read. I wasn't being on read. She wanted me to read. And she saw me reading one day. I was hiding in the closet with one of them novels. It was one of her novels. I was like, what is this? I was just curious. I wasn't trying to hide. But I'm in there and I'm like, oh, wow. And I guess she came looking for me and she see me read that book. She was like, Snatch, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you as a writer,
Don't do that. I just said that to say don't do that.
it's a big market out here, and most of the people who buying them books is still
Church
folks
folk.
that's in church, right? Buying them books. And what's that? Carl Weber and all them, they got all these books they got out here talking about all some of the stuff we talked about tonight. Yeah, we ain't even holding the count of the stuff they putting in them books, right?
I don't know, because Philanda started to go there when she said she practices what? What was that?
BDSM.
Yes, and then you see how fast she said it because she didn't even define it, and the comments was like, I know what this is."
What was that movie that was out here for a while, right?
50 Shades of Grey.
That woman wrote that book, and then they made it into a movie, right? People would look. It was a bestseller for a reason. People were buying that, right? Because they was feeling that and understanding. Oh, yeah. So it's whatever. So the conversations need to be had, right?
Okay, I'm happy you said that. Philanda, define BDSM.
Bondage, discipline, sadomasochism.
Now I ain't mad about
to simplify it for people who like to get bound up, handcuffed, tied up, spanked, whatever your pleasure for pain. It's a pleasure pain exchange.
I ain't mad at some. I'm not mad at some bondage and a gag because it's sometimes my husband he can get caught up in some words and prolifications and I'm like and I
But this is the thing, right? This is the thing.
Where that ball at? Where that ball?
If that's it, I ain't got no problem with any and all of that. If that's what's going on in your bedroom and that's what makes that's what's getting you happy, right? Who is anybody to judge you for what it is that you're doing, right?
And who's to say just because you're a virtuous woman that's not a virtuous woman?
And is that pay? That's always been my question, Philanda. Is that pay? If it's pleasurable to the person,
no, it's not really paying.
Yeah, right. If you spanking them and they going, yeah, right. Look, I remember getting a whooping. That's the difference from getting a whooping as a child. Going, no, I don't want to get hit no more, right? To somebody with you and they spanking you or whatever. So I think that people get caught up.
Right there, get the cup. That's
the cup. He's silly.
They get caught up and you really do get people who get real mad, right? They get real mad. How you gonna say that? And you a child of God? And I look at them like, wait a minute. God told me that was my wife. That's my house. That's what I'm doing, right?
Here's what I told folks. I told folks I am
anointed. Submit ye one to the other. I'm bound up and I'm submitting. Mind your business.
I tell them, I'm anointed for this. God has blessed me for this with her. This is what this is. Y'all leave us alone.
Right. Because it's a whole bunch of look, I don't sugarcoat mine. It's a whole bunch of men that I have been with. They be like, I'm about to, and I'm like, you absolutely are not. We don't have that relationship. This is what we don't do.
And that's why you get married. So you can do that.
Right.
But it's a lot of young ladies out here, they don't understand why they're not getting married. It's because you letting them do too much. Right. Like you said, when they say I'm about to, you say, no, you're not. I'm on board with that.
Right.
Well, Tina,
if you was able to do it, Eddie, would you have done it without marrying me, Jesse? Would you have done it without marrying her? If she
I did. I'm not even gonna lie. See, I'm not gonna play them games. Oh no, see, no. Listen, I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, all that stuff. But she was too much. I fell and I loved falling. I ain't gonna lie to you. We did, and even in that,
he did not flee.
Sure did. I sure didn't. I stood firm. Run, I shall not. I'll make you run. I ain't gonna run.
I'm gonna answer that question by saying this. I remember when we were dating, and Prophetess, I remember telling me even before we were dating, going to the prom or whatever, and she told me, because we human beings, right? But she said it's better to marry than to burn. It is better for you because you married in your heart. The reason why she kept saying to me whenever it came down, we would talk about marriage, right? And I remember me and Tina had said we wanted to get married. We was like, we want to get married, but we want to get married and do this big wedding and let's do all this stuff, right? Because we thought that that's what people expected. A lot of people, when me and Tina got married, were like, y'all just left one day and y'all just got married. Y'all ran off together. You eloped. That really wasn't what we did. What it was is that we realized that we wanted to be married. We wanted to live married, right? I was committed to her. She was committed to me. And so we weren't going to continue to tempt ourselves or do things, right, that we thought that God would not approve of outside of marriage, right? We wanted to make sure that we had that bond. And so in order to do those things, that's what we had to do. So when I ask you a question about the desire is always there, right? Because that's the person you want to be with. And sometimes the opportunity is there and you can push that envelope. But when it comes down to you knowing that, I use that word again, that you have that synergy and that connection and that's that person for you, then there was no doubt to me, we need to get married, right? We need to go and do this. And when me and her talked about it, right, I said, Tina, I'm in Maryland. We need to go get married. We could have tried to get married in Chicago. We jumped in that Civic. We drove to Maryland. We got the we do with the Justice of the Peace. Got all that done. Went over to Annapolis, right, and got married. Then there was no issue whatsoever, right? Whatever we was gonna do, we knew that God, we was together, right? And so people could say, "Oh, you ran off." No, that's what we needed to do for me and Tina.
We was dating for 7 years, y'all. 7 years. What was people
Oh, we
expecting?
hadn't even made nowhere near 7. We dated for less than 6 months. We
But
met
we got
Amen.
married.
April, were married in December.
Ooh, I ain't even
We
mad.
dated for 7 years because I've known her my entire life, or her entire life, as annoying through annoyances, through happiness, through oh my God, I could just choke. Right? That's how we grew up around each other. Right?
He gonna get murdered
And
on here,
I'm
y'all.
not talking about. I'm not talking about me choking her. I'm talking about her trying to choke me and do
You know
because
you like it.
I
You know
wasn't
you
paying no
like it.
attention. Right? My mind was not on being in that relationship or being in a relationship.
Now he
And
about to divulge our secrets.
so, but the point was that once I knew that that's what I wanted, right, and then she later let me know what she wanted, right. There was no stopping us. So even though we dated for she say 7 years, we known each other for forever.
That's why I don't count. But I'm just saying, when he asked me, when he was trying to date me, he asked me, will I marry him, and I said yes. And it was at that point that in my mind, in my heart, I wasn't, trying to do anything else, even though I was younger, unless he gave me the word.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into that in another session because we already about to be 3 hours deep. Because
I told y'all I
They
sometimes talk.
podcast turned into our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it
Our
was
podcast go about 3 hours.
it was a good conversation, and we kept thinking when we were going to stop it, but it's a good
I
conversation,
just go as I feel led
and
to
we need to
go,
do.
and I don't feel no sorrow about it.
Why should you feel sorry?
And a lot of times, these are the conversations that I have behind closed doors with other young ladies, other young men who want to be married, who want to understand. They want counseling for a relationship, and they want to understand that they don't want to feel bad about their natural instinct, their natural urges. And I can't exactly be a psychologist and say, okay, I'm gonna go out here and put names on it, drop names and say who this is and what this is. So these things that we've addressed in here, these are things that people have needed. It was an urgency for people to know that this is okay, even by the measurement of God. That's why a lot of time I went back and forth with everybody to make sure that we got every perspective, not just one-sided, because we need to feed the whole man,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody out here ain't in no category. We all different, scattered all over the place, and everybody needs to feel like, now you're talking about me. Oh, now they talking about me. Oh, they don't reach me. Now they don't reach me. So that's why I wanted to. That's why I felt compelled to get us all together, because we do this right here embodies a little bit of everything that's out here. There's nothing
No,
new
it's
under the
needed.
sun. This is everything that is out here, and there's so many people that's gonna watch this and find the answers that they're looking for, and they're going to feel encouraged, and them dark thoughts that they were having is going to leave, because they're going to see this is okay. I'm
And it'll kill
okay.
misinformation. That misinformation will get killed. It's a
Mhm.
lot
Bi-
of misinformation out here.
The Bible says, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And it's not always, it's not just Jesus. I know Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, but it's also truth in the information. You
I'm
become,
sure.
we're bound by all of the misinformation, all the lies that the enemy tries to allow us to believe in, within the church or without the church. But once we know the truth,
Hmm.
There you
you
go.
can become free, because now I know, oh, this is okay.
This
This is
is
how God
okay.
created me to be.
All
I,
Hey,
I'm
right.
we had people in here. A lot of people came in and out throughout the chat and whatever. So that's good. You want that, because that means there's a discussion going on. There is people thinking, right? People
And I'm really happy
understand.
about Yolanda's share, because I mean, baby, everybody like, did she just openly admit that? I'm so happy about your
I am
candor.
unashamed about who God has made me, my story, my past, my present, or my future. And we have to get to that point. It's okay to be you. God
Amen.
created
Mhm.
you.
Hmm.
Ugh.
While
And
they
the
living while they
past.
living in their room like this, right?
Right.
Some of them probably they'll clutch their pearls, turn this off, and go turn on their portal in their room, going, man, I
Right.
wish they. Now I know what they talking.
Mhm.
And, and like I said, there's many paths. I've always said that there's many paths to God, and I don't believe that there's a wrong path, because the Bible said God can use whom He choose. If a rock can replace you, and it don't even have a mouth, but it can replace you and cry out for God in your place, then of course, if a donkey can stop, and when He shut them up already, He stifled them. He can make that donkey talk to say, "I'm not going any further." If God can use a murderer in the Bible, if God can use what do you call it, a leper, a blind person, a child that's dead, if God can use whoever He wants. So a lot of people have to stop thinking that, oh well, I think I'm gay. Oh, I think I'm a lesbian. Or I think, I don't even know. I just call it the alphabet because I don't want to offend nobody, and I don't want to put one letter before the other and offend the other one. So I'm just saying, just because you feel like Jesse was saying at one point, some people mistake that thing that they feel about you, that godly love that you exude and that you giving out, they feeling that love that they ain't never felt before, and they long for it, and they want to keep it and hold on to it. They feeling that, and they like, well, I think I'm gay because, man, I really like you, Tina. Well, I really want to be with you. And I try to help them understand this. You don't understand it in the way that you need to understand it, because that conditioning mindset that you have, you think that this is a sexual love. You think
Mhm.
that, oh, I have to know you in order to love you. You think that I have to be well vested in your happiness in order for me to try to help you to be happy. None of that is true. None of that is true. And the reason why I feel compelled to be out here now, the reason why I'm coming from out of the shadows and in the closed closets where I wait for people to come to me, and then we talk about it, and somebody asks me, can you talk to my wife? Can you talk to my girlfriend? Can you help me? Can you? The reason why I feel like we need to be out here now is because I see TikToks. People have whole group counsel sessions, but they're not certified.
Mhm.
And there's a danger in that. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because there's no certification in that. There we and even in my situation with this, I say I'm only trying to help you understand what you need to get help with, because I can't put it out there and say, okay, well, because of a title I certify you to say that you crazy, go ahead and get help. No, it is to help you, bring you to an awareness, bring you to an understanding so you can get out of that dark space and get into the light and get some help if you need that. So you can feel comfortable being who you are and seeking the help that you need. And when you realize that that's not helping you and it's hindering you, go and get the help you need, because yes, it is out there. It may be that you may see it in this episode. It may be that you may go to Jesse's site and see it on Jesse's site. Go to Philanda's site and see it on Philanda's site. Go on Eddie's site and see it on Eddie's site. Wherever you getting the help that you need, that good fruit. Wherever you finding that good fruit, go eat, get full, and then go and understand. Let that dark stuff
Yeah,
go.
you
It
you
come
got to
for us
specify.
all.
You
It
better
come for us
specify that
all.
that good fruit, because I
That's
told
what
you.
good fruit is. It's not it's helping you to understand that you are there's nothing wrong with you. You just need a little bit more guidance, a little bit more help, somebody that understands what you saying and not what they think you saying.
But
There's a
how
communication
many
gap
people,
there.
Tina, are going on TikTok? Church folks going on TikTok. Church folks going on social media, right? To find some kind of understanding from social media and TikTok that they're not getting at the church. And that's a
Mhm,
huge part. And
Mhm.
everything that's out here on social media ain't for you, right?
mhm.
To be going in and getting involved in. So you make a very good point with social media, especially with TikTok. And it is so quick. It laughter disarms us,
Mhm.
right?
And
And
opens
and
us.
it opens us
Mhm.
to empathically take in things that we probably shouldn't be taking in, and take in knowledge that is not fruitful knowledge, right? And so, did we act upon something because we say to ourselves, like if I watch, and I'm not knocking anybody, if I watch Bishop Jakes or somebody and they say something, I say, man, what he said right there fits me, because that's the only thing I've ever heard somebody ever say about that particular thing, right?
Mhm.
Because the church is not being honest,
Mhm.
and people actually talking about like what we talked about tonight. And when you don't do that, then you we call it in intelligence, you stovepipe people into one thing, one
Mhm.
belief, one condition. And a lot of people lose themselves, right? When a preacher says, hey, what you did is wrong. And the preacher could be wrong, but you ain't got no other opinions out here, no other church folks talking about it. So you take what that bishop, what that preacher, what that pastor said as the word of truth.
Not even knowing that they was man appointed and not God anointed.
Or not even teaching the fact that you need to be studying the
Yourself.
word yourself.
Come on now.
Study yourself. This
That
is
is
what we
why.
supposed to do. If you can't go back, it shouldn't be okay in your workplace to fact check things and not in the church. It should not be. You should be. My
Yeah.
husband wanting to work himself out of a job, this should be the case.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have pastors dying in the pulpit because you want to hold on to people. You should be. People should be getting better.
Amen.
They should be leaving out there. You should be able to equip yourself, not only just for yourself, so you can go out there and be the teacher.
Mhm,
I am a
mhm.
huge stickler on that. Like that is my whole agenda. Get you to get a relationship with Christ yourself. I've said this in the pulpit. I've said this on my podcast. I've said this in private consultation with people. God is not interested in a menage a trois with you. It does not
Mm,
need to be you, God, and someone else. He wants it to be you and him. So at the end of the day, while I listen to Pastor, while I take in the information that he or she brings,
mhm.
I go back and study it for myself and
What?
allow God to illuminate this thing to me. Because the other portion of it, what we have to understand, as especially as it relates to the word, is that the word is like an onion. There's layers to this thing. So I may have one layer. And as I give you the layer I have and you go study, God will then give you a whole nother layer that he never gave me because
Mhm,
this is my stopping point.
mhm.
My stopping point is your starting point. So you should go deeper. You should go further. You should come back to me sometime later on down the road, like, hey, Pastor, you know that thing that you taught, that wasn't all the way full. Here's something that
Mm,
God gave me from what you
mm,
gave, and here it is. And I'm like, oh
mm.
man, wow, that is good.
These preachers don't want their congregation coming back and
Oh,
telling them that.
absolutely not.
That's why their congregations is dying, and they're dying in the pulpit.
I
I
agree.
want a successor. The next generation should be better, deeper, more spiritual, more anointed, more powerful than I am.
Like Jesus
I
said.
want them to come back
hmm
and help me get more powerful until it's my time to get off the scene.
Jesus
I
said it'd
want,
be better to come after me. It's gonna be
that's
better to
right.
come after me.
So when we can begin to do that and begin to encourage the body of Christ to do that as a whole, and some of y'all slimy hireling pastors get out the way, and God is removing y'all. Since as soon as that begins to happen in mass more than ever has happened before, I promise you, you will begin to see more healthy Christians walking around this earth, because now we have healthy leadership that are pointing them to a God that can get them healthy, holistically healthy. God is not just concerned about your soul. He's concerned about the total man. That's why he
The whole
created a
man.
total man. Get everything in order.
hmm
Get your mind right. Get your body right. Get your eating habits right. Your sleep right. Get your life right. Get your love right. Get all of those things right and in order so that you understand how to deal with him when it comes time to deal with him.
Amen.
And that's why in the word it says study to show yourself approved. It didn't say what
Mhm.
to study. It didn't say go study Christianity. And Jesus didn't even want it to be called Christianity. It didn't say go study Buddhism, Taoism, and things like that. When Buddha didn't even want it to be called Buddhism. It says study. And just because it has a title doesn't mean that that title says you can't study me, because you're gonna find fulfillment in different ways, in different avenues, just like you want to eat different foods, you want to date different people, you're going to find different avenues of worship and praise and studying who God is and learning who God is and what he can do for you in your journey. And that's what it's all about, is your journey, and nobody gets to judge you in your journey. Now I want to wrap it up because this going into the third hour, and I'm not mad, but I do have to tend to my son's needs. As a mom, I got to keep putting on different hats, putting
Mhm.
on different hats, and that can create that balance that Philanda was talking about in the last show. I love this. I love it. I love it. The audience loved it and appreciated y'all, and I deeply appreciate all of y'all being here. People have been asking for after five talk, and here it is. Here it is in all of its longevity, and we're going to cut it up so that people with short of attention spans can see it 1 hour at
They
a
can
time.
watch it, Tina. They can watch it and go through it. I tell people all the time, watch the show, play it in the background while you at home, when you doing your dishes, whatever. Let it play, right? That's what this is for. That's why why we do it. That knowledge part of what erudition is supposed to do is so important, because if you could sit there and listen to a book on tape, you
hmm
can listen to your music while you doing whatever.
Facts.
You can put this on. You can put Jesse's show on. You can
hmm
put this stuff on to grow your mind,
hmm
right? To
And
grow
to
your
eat. You
understanding,
gotta eat. That whole
right?
man gotta eat. You can't
So,
sleep at
so
night. You have insomnia because your spirit and your flesh are fighting, and you think it's something wrong with you. You having mental problems because your mind can't, won't rest, because your soul kept your mind going it all night, and you conflicting with yourself, and you thinking something's wrong with you, that you need medication. You think you got ADHD because you. I'm trying to give you that good fruit. And a lot of people are out here saying, well, you don't need particular medicines. What you need to do is eat right. Let me tell you, your soul needs to eat right too. And here it
Mhm.
is. Here it
So
is.
no, it was good, and I think we should do this again at some point, because we do need these things need to be talked about.
We need it.
There were pastors and preachers and people who were in and out of here, right? During the chat and different things, right? So everybody, and I'm sure somebody gonna be talking about this on Sunday,
On
on
next
Mhm.
show,
Thursday,
on next show, where
on
they
some
gonna be making
show,
the Sunday.
and they gonna be talking about this, or they gonna be sitting there with their spouse talking about this, going, you know, this how I feel, and hopefully that's what'll happen, right?
And hopefully they'll get their kids and talk to their kids. You're raising them kids to be adults, not kids forever.
So it was good. It's a good conversation. It was needed.
Jesse, you have something you want to say? Last words?
Because if I start talking, it's gonna be another 20 minutes. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna say God bless you.
Philanda?
I want to thank y'all for having us. And if you want to see
Oh
more
yes,
of the
thank you.
Joneses, you can find us at highpraiseministries.com. Our
That's my baby.
next level service is every Saturday at 1 o'clock. And we're out of Jonesboro?
635 Denham Road in Riverdale, Georgia.
Riverdale, Georgia.
Mhm.
And if you want to hear more of this, because we do this, we have no problem with doing this. If you could find us at the Real Talk Podcast with Jesse Jones on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcasts at.
And make sure you put that in the comments so in case people didn't hear it, it didn't catch it because we didn't have a screen thing going there. So
Okay.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we're not slighting anybody in any way.
No, yeah.
I'm happy to promote y'all and do what y'all do, encourage y'all to do what you do because you don't know why God put you out there. And he don't tell one person everything. Our little minds explode. So y'all, y'all do what y'all do. And I pray that we can get together like this again. Everybody ate it
Absolutely.
up. I loved it. I feel full. Anybody else feel full?
Feel
Yes,
full.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Need a nap
Teddy
now.
back, Teddy backstage said he feel full.
No, I loved it. I thought it was, we don't, with what we do, we take it very seriously for this network, and I greatly appreciate both of you all coming on to do this because it is about education and understanding and trying to get people to think and, like Tina said, to eat and to think differently, right? Because we've been programmed to condition to think
Your
so
right
wrong,
mind, just your
right?
right mind, not your conditioned mind.
But yeah,
Your right mind.
y'all know y'all welcome to come back anytime we do. That's her show. She'll let you come back. She may not let me come back, but she'll let y'all come back uh,
If you gonna
anytime.
stop the flow once the thing got going, you gonna have to. No, you.
No, I
I
do
like
tell her
the.
in the background. I will tell her in the background when I was like, "Hey, how long you going? What are you doing?" Right? Because in the back. So if you see me like y'all saw me earlier, I was kind of distracted. I'm constantly trying to see the things in the background that's running the show, and my son does a great job in doing that too. But that's what has to happen. But
Hmm.
um, to
Balance.
keep things moving. But yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that when I feel it to let it go, I'll let it go. But that was our last topic for today. Next time we're gonna have to talk about understanding the little things that go wrong, seeing that and understanding that that's God tugging at you just a little bit, and understand that before it get really bad. Now
Yeah.
we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to get together and talk about that because I know y'all are well experienced in this and y'all understand this, y'all know this. So prepare for that. If y'all want to come back in.
Absolutely. We'd love to come back.
Yep.
All right,
All right, set it up, set it up. I know y'all busy lives and everything, but we're gonna go ahead and end this broadcast.
all right.
All
All right.
right.